Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Speaking from the Center and the fourth of what it feels like in an infinite number of Republican debates. We're not even doing an intro today. We're jumping into the trash. Enjoy.
Yes. Kira already did the opening for us.
In fact, Nikki Haley is beating you in New Hampshire and South Carolina now and closing in on you in Iowa. Not to mention Trump, who is not only dominating in the early states, but is beating you in Florida by over 30 points. Is it fair to say, as Senator Tim Scott did when he dropped out,
Doesn't he look like
that
Shemp?
voters are telling you not
Shemp
no,
from the Three Stooges?
but not now?
So we have a great idea in America that the voters actually make these decisions,
There you
not
go.
pundits or pollsters.
Someone's fired.
I'm sick of
Someone
hearing
had the
about
wrong
these
mic
polls
on.
because I
Someone is
remember
fucking
those
fired.
polls in November of 2022. They said
Wasn't
there was
me.
going to be a big red wave. It was going to be monumental, and that crashed and burned. The one place it didn't crash and burn was in the state of Florida. They weren't predicting that I would win the way I did, and I won the greatest
he was
Republican
winning
victory
his
in the
state was
history
doing so well, he
of the
picked a
state
fight
of
with
Florida.
Disney. How'd that
I'm
go?
looking forward to Iowa and New Hampshire. The voters are going to be able to speak, and we're going to earn this nomination. And here's what we need. I am sick of Republicans who are not willing to stand up and fight back against what the left is doing to this country. You've got to be willing to stand strong, and you've got to be willing to beat these people. I'm the only one running for president that has beaten these people on issue after issue. We beat the teachers' unions when we did school choice.
There's like 8
we
Democrats
beat Fauci
there,
on
and I know
COVID. We
3 of
beat
them.
George Soros when we removed 2 of his radical district attorneys. We beat the Democrats on election
Back in the
integrity.
chat. Back.
I have delivered results. That's what we need for this country. And you have other candidates up here like Nikki Haley. She caves anytime the left comes after her, anytime the media comes after her. I did a bill in Florida to stop the gender mutilation of minors.
It's a really major
child
mistake
abuse,
and an
it's
insult
wrong.
to me.
She
Thanks for the sub.
opposes that bill. She thinks it's fine and the law shouldn't get involved with it. If you're not willing to stand up for the kids, if you're not willing to stand up and say that it is wrong to mutilate these kids, then you're not going to fight for the people back
I know
home.
he ain't
I
talking
will fight
about
for you, and I will
genital
win for you.
mutilation.
Yeah.
They didn't really ask me if I wanted to get circumcised, did they?
Ambassador Haley,
No.
Yeah.
you
They don't
were
really
in
ask.
service
They
in
don't really ask
2018
those
with
questions.
just $100,000 in the bank. 5 years later, you're reportedly worth $8 million, thanks to lucrative corporate speeches and board memberships like you had with Boeing. Weeks ago, you met with Wall Street heavyweights, including leaders from J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and BlackRock. Several other billionaire investors are reportedly ready to
Sebel?
endorse you, or
Fuck is that
recently
word,
have,
Sebel?
all of which comes with expectations. Aren't you too tight with the
They have an
banks
extra
and the
microphone
billionaires
on.
to win over the
It's so
GOP's
annoying.
working class base, which mostly wants to break the system, not elect someone beholden to it?
It's in Alabama. You got to
Well,
lower
thank you.
your
It's
standards.
great to be
There
here.
is a
You know,
history
first I'll
something.
tell you,
Yeah, it's an
just
extra
to
mic.
respond to
Somebody's
Ron,
lapel is on.
He continues to lie about
Who's
my
not on
record.
stage?
I actually said his "Don't Say Gay" bill didn't go far enough because it only talked
What?
about gender until the 3rd grade, and I said it shouldn't be done at all. That's for parents to talk about. It shouldn't be talked about with schools. In reference to donors coming
really
on
are a
board,
nasty
look,
little
we will
witch
take
in
support
a nice
from
package,
anybody we
aren't
can
you?
take support from.
What an
But
evil
I
thing
have
to
been
say
a
to somebody.
conservative
Not even
You
in
said it
that
with a
nice
smile.
all my life. I was a Tea Party candidate when I became governor.
she's-
We opposed every
She's
single
another one of those
corporate bailout
almost
we
level-headed
possibly could. We
people
passed
that's
tort
willing
reform. We
to
passed one of the toughest illegal
huck
immigration laws in
all
the
of
country.
her
We passed pro-life
actual
bills.
beliefs out the
We
window
moved
to get the
unemployment from
nomination.
11% to 3%.
She
all
will
she-
compromise
we
her
took on the
ethics.
unions, and we took on Obama when it came
I
to
think
the
she's
unions,
probably
the
a decent
Syrian
person,
refugees,
but
and
she's
everything
willing
in
to do
between.
whatever
And so
she
I've
needs
had
to
a
do.
fight. And so as much as Ron says that,
I
that's
took
not
on the
true. But when it
unions.
comes
That's
to
a
these
really great
corporate
thing to
people
say
that
to a
wanna
bunch of
suddenly
middle-class
support us,
people. I
we'll
took on the
take it.
unions.
But you can.
I
they
lowered
don't-
your
I don't
wages.
ask
Yeah.
them what their policies are.
I made
They
your
ask
boss
me what
more
my
money.
policies are, and I tell them what it is.
You know that
Sometimes
insurance?
they agree with me.
Not
sometimes
anymore.
they don't.
Not anymore,
Some don't like
bitch.
how tough I am on China. Some don't like
35
the fact that I
hours
signed
minimum
pro-life
now.
bills. Some don't like the fact that I may oppose corporate bailouts. That doesn't matter. That's who I am, and that's why the most conservative grassroots group in the country, Americans for Prosperity, endorsed me last week.
Well, Americans for no taxes.
Oh my God, is she gonna win these debates?
She didn't
And
respond
then
to the
get
criticism.
slapped?
It wasn't
Because
about
that would be
the
easiest
parents'
victory
rights
ever.
education bill. It was about prohibiting sex change operations on minors. They do puberty blockers. These are irreversible. Talk to Chloe Cole. She went through this. Now she's an adult. She's warning against it. She may never be able to have kids again. That is what Nikki Haley opposed.
Again?
She said the law shouldn't get involved in that.
And that's all women are worth.
I just ask you, if you're somebody that's going to be the president of the United States
again, because,
and you can't stand up against child abuse, how are you going to be able to stand up for anything? That is the truth.
Look at the trees.
I said that if you have to be 18 to get a tattoo, you should have to be 18 to have anything done to change your gender.
You said the law should stay out of it.
We're gonna get to
They're
this
both
in more
failing here.
detail later. Let's finish
Yeah,
with
it's not-
electability, but
not
trust me,
going
we're
well.
coming
You're
back
both
to this
monsters, by the
issue.
way.
Mr. Ramaswamy, for months,
Go,
you
Chris
campaigned as a
Christie.
unifier.
Oh,
Then you stood up
fucking
at the first
hell.
debate
Here comes
and
Jim-
attacked all of your
Jimmy
competitors
Neutron.
as bought and paid for. The second
Jimmy
debate,
Higgs
you changed your
boson.
tune, saying these are good people on this stage, admitting you can come across as a bit of a know-it-all and rejecting the practice of personal insults. By debate number 3, you called Nikki Haley corrupt, accused Ron DeSantis of wearing high heels, and told Ambassador Haley she should keep a closer eye on her daughter. Can you see how this has led some to conclude you are not, in fact,
He
a
fucking
unifier,
smiled while she
and
was
to
reading
question
it
your
back, forgetting that he was supposed to act like
Megan, I
he's
think there's a
not that
time
guy.
and place for everything. We need somebody in the White House who absolutely is going to be a fighter when it counts. And I did say that there were some good people on that stage in that third debate. Doug Burgum was on that stage at that time, and I'll say that jokingly. Ron DeSantis is a good person, too. I want to go back, though, to
Cap.
Nikki Haley's comment from earlier that
Cap.
she is somehow not responding to the will of these donors.
Varmints
Nikki, you were bankrupt
Ramaswamy.
when you left the UN. After you left the UN, you became a military contractor. You actually started joining service on the board of Boeing, whose back you
Real
scratched
quick, you can
for
see
a very
his
long
glasses
time,
mark
and then gave foreign
on his
multinational
haircut.
speeches like Hillary Clinton is, and now you're a multimillionaire.
Like, where it by his
that
ear, you can
math
see where
does
his
not
glasses
add up.
arm.
It adds up to the
Oh, yeah,
fact
you
that
can.
you are corrupt. And when I said they were bought
Make
and paid
sure
for,
when they do Just
I
for
meant
Men on
the
your hair, you take
Republican
your glasses
establishment,
off, Vivek.
not the
Okay?
Democratic establishment.
Just
Now
make
you
sure
have
they do
Reid
that, all right?
Hoffman, the person who's effectively George Soros
Can you
Jr.,
turn down their
funding
talking just a
lawsuits
little?
across this country against Donald Trump to keep him off the ballot, funding left-wing
Perfect. Thank you.
causes. We discovered this week that he is one
It's
of Nikki
mainly
Haley's
just because his
largest
voice
supporters.
scrapes my
Larry
soul,
Fink, the
but-
king of the woke industrial
I don't know who's in
complex,
charge of
the
mics
ESG
over there,
movement,
but they got
the
clearly a
CEO of
rogue mic
BlackRock,
in
most
the
powerful
room
company
somewhere.
in the world,
Just
now
on
supporting
maximum.
Nikki Haley. And to say that
It's
doesn't
new-
affect
this
her is
equipment was
false,
new in
because it's after that
1994
meeting
in
later
Alabama.
that day that she says that every American needs to be doxxed by having their ID, their government-issued ID, tied to what they say on the internet. So I think that this is far more corrupt than I even imagined
Wow.
when I entered politics.
Yeah.
But I will say this.
People shouldn't,
it is
like,
going
you
to
know,
take
make
a
bomb
leader from
threats
the outside
to Planned
with
Parenthood
fresh
without
legs
having to give up
from
their
the next generation
identification.
to unite
Yeah, that's fine.
this country. Not the broken
You know, and if they have to
politicians
make a
who are
comment
puppets of the
online,
puppet
you know, it's a
masters,
pretty easy
but the
line to
actual
say,
people in
if you ever
this
buy a
country.
firearm or
Thomas
any sort of
Jefferson
weapon,
was 33
you
when
have
he
to
wrote
show
the
your
Declaration
ID
of
and be
Independence.
associated with that
I think it's
forever.
going to take somebody whose best days
I thought we
in
were all
life
about law
are
and
still
order.
ahead to see a country whose best
No,
days
freedom.
are ahead of itself.
Sometime.
And I think I
Right.
can reach that next generation better
Freedom
than
for us,
anybody
not
else
you.
in this race.
Thank you.
We should have
Megan.
a coin that one half says freedom and the other half
First
says
of all, we weren't
tyranny.
bankrupt when I left the UN.
And that's how you can
We
tell
were
whether
people of
something is.
service. My husband is in the military, and I served our
So that's gonna
country
be a
as UN
two-faced
ambassador and governor. It may be
situation?
bankrupt to him, but it certainly wasn't bankrupt to us. Secondly, I did serve on the board of Boeing. I did a lot of work with Boeing when I was governor. They were a great partner to me. I served for 10 months. And then when they decided after COVID that they wanted to go for a corporate bailout, I've never supported corporate bailout, so I respectfully stepped back and got off the board. I love Boeing. They build good commercial airplanes. They build airplanes for our Air Force. I am proud of them. They employ a lot of people in South Carolina. But that's why I left the Boeing board. There's nothing to what he's saying. And in terms of these donors that are supporting me, they're just jealous. They wish that they were supporting them, but I'm not going to sit there.
Brandon in the chat.
Wow.
Brandon.
They're just jealous of me.
So,
My
so
friend.
jelly.
you wrote a book talking about ESG and these woke corporations and BlackRock.
Brennan in the
idea
chat.
that I
Brennan!
wanna do that, in Florida, they were managing our pension charged part of our pension. And
Party
then when
of
they did
freedom.
the ESG,
Did
I
he
took
just
$2
call
billion
the company
away from
Morgan
BlackRock.
Stanley
We took
woke?
action. This ESG, they call it environment, social governance.
as woke.
And again, Nikki is meeting with all
Is
these
he on
people.
crack?
They want to use economic power to impose a left-wing agenda on this country. They
You
want
literally
basically
said
to
you
change
want
society
to
without
force
having
trans
to go
kids to go through
constitutional
puberty in the wrong
process.
body.
We've kneecapped
Like,
it in the
shut
state
up.
of Florida. The next president
You're
of the
literally
United
trying to
States
take
needs to be able to go to that
Disney's
office
right to
on
govern
day
their own
one
business
and end
away from
ESG.
them
And the fact of the
because
matter
they
is, we
made fun
know
of
from her history, Nikki
Because
will
they
cave to
supported
those big donors
kids.
when it counts, and that is not acceptable.
They wouldn't fall in line with your "don't say gay" bullshit.
How come DeSantis is getting to talk so much? Turn
There's only four. There's only four of them.
Now I worry. I was warning about the woke
Well,
instead of seven.
Yeah, but has Chris Christie said anything yet?
No, he's working up his energy. He'll get there. He's still warm. He's in the warm-up track. He'll get there soon.
And this is just a continued symptom of how Trump broke our debate system.
Yeah.
No one fucking follows protocol. No one takes their turn. They jump in whenever they think they have a chance.
From Donald Trump in the
Because
year
the more
2020.
more
The only
speak
person
time they
more
get,
fascist
the
than
better
the
they
Biden
do.
regime now is Nikki
I think
Haley,
they
who
should
thinks
put
the
them all
government
in
should
sound.
identify every one of those
Turn on their
individuals
mics
with an
for
ID.
this
That is
specific
not
amount of
freedom, that is
time that they're allowed to
fascism, and
respond.
she should come nowhere near
Turn
the
it
levels
off
of
right at
power,
the end.
let alone the White
If
House.
anybody knows anything about fascism,
No,
it's
but
Vivek.
can I just say,
He's a big fan. He can spot fascism a mile
Can
away.
you please speak to the
Oh, hi, Chris.
requirement that you said that every anonymous internet user needs to out themselves? They're both hitting you on it.
I would be happy to, and I love all the attention. Phil.
Maybe next
Thank you
time,
for
Chris.
that.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe
I
next
will-
time you'll open
I'll
your
say
mouth.
Chris
that
is like,
what I
"Damn, bro,
said
I'm standing
was
up here."
That social media
How
companies
come
need to show
DeSantis
us
is
their
the only one
algorithms.
standing like
I
half a
also
foot
said
back from his
there are
lectern?
millions of
got a
bots
hard on.
on social media right
gets-
now.
he gets-
They're foreign, they're Chinese, they're
He gets
Iranian.
panic erections.
I will always fight for freedom of speech for
Maybe
Americans.
it's the
We
heels
do
are
not
making
need
him
freedom of
worry
speech
too
for
much. He's gotta
Russians
stay
and
there.
Iranians and Hamas.
Better for balance.
We
That's
not
need
what you
social
said.
media companies to go
That's a
and
lie.
fight back on all of these bots that are happening. That's what I said. As a mom, do I think
Are
that
you guys
social media
moms?
would be more civil if we went
Yes.
and had people's
Wait.
names
What?
next to that? Yes,
Uh-oh.
I
What?
do think that because I think we've got too
Okay.
much cyberbullying. I think we've got child pornography and all of those things. But having said that, I never said government should go and require anyone's
That's
name.
false.
She
What
said, I want your name.
She
As President of
absolutely
the
said
United
it.
States, her first day in office, she said, one of the first things I'm going to do
I said we were going
social
to
media
get
is
the
I
millions
want your
of
name.
bots
She wants
That's what she
government
said.
ID to
Hold on,
dox
finish
every
what you're
American.
saying.
That's
Hold
what
on.
she said. You can roll the tape. She said, I want your name. And that was going to be one
Roll
of
it
the first
back.
things she did in
Roll back
office.
the fucking
And then she got
tape.
real serious
Wiki,
blowback, and understandably
wiki.
so, because it'd be a massive
Here, what's that?
expansion of government.
Actually,
we have anonymous speech. The Federalist Papers were written with anonymous writers. Jay, Madison, and Hamilton, they went under Publius. It's something
If
that's
I
important,
wanna
especially
support,
given how
one
conservatives
of those
have been attacked.
improperly
and
named
they've
groups from the
lost
30s
jobs,
that
and
is
they've been
rising again,
canceled.
Right.
You
I
know
wanna
the
do
regime
so
would use that to
anonymously.
weaponize that against our own people.
Okay.
It was
Okay,
a
Yeah.
so
bad
I
idea,
have to say,
and she should own up to it. Come on, now.
I'm
What
gonna
are
give
you doing
you
here?
15 seconds, and then there
Chris is like, "Come on, man, my
This
question."
cracks me up because Ron is so hypocritical because
Is-
he
is
actually
his
went
tie the
and
exact
tried to
same
push a
color as
law
the
that would
lettering in
stop
the
anonymous
word Republican?
people
You're
from
mumbling.
talking to the press and went so far to say bloggers should have to register
you.
with
Is
the
his
state
tie
if
the
they're gonna
exact
talk
same
about
color
right
as the
about elected
lettering in the
officials. It
Republican
was in the
primary
mi-
debate?
Check your
Yes.
newspaper.
It's pretty
It was
close.
absolutely there.
That's a
I
Trump
have
tie.
never
That is
said-
Republican red.
No, no,
Careful on your
You can
constitutional
come back to it
rights.
later.
GOP
More
red.
dangerous than the
You're
Democrats.
lying.
This section's over.
Christie's wearing a
Okay.
different color
Governor
red.
Christie.
Really?
Just that,
I'm
please.
usually not somebody who
Oh,
gets
yeah,
missed,
look.
but okay, let's go.
What's happening? Okay, I got you. Listen, you endorsed
kinda
Donald Trump
eliminates
in
him from the race
2016 and
right there,
2020.
unfortunately.
You gave him an
that
A
tie?
for his first term.
That.
Since then, however, you've turned on him,
Like, out of focus.
calling him a liar, a loser, a con man, and someone who cannot win.
Word.
You've even said that you got into this race just to stop President Trump. His approval rating with Republicans
Good for you,
is
man.
currently at 81%. Yours is at 25.
Get in
Your
there.
best state
Got him
is
right
New
where you want
Hampshire,
him.
and even there, 2/3 of GOP voters say they would be angry and disappointed if you won. Respectfully, Governor.
Who asked
you
him
have not
that? What a
stopped Mr.
dickhead
Trump.
question.
And voters may wonder how you could possibly become the nominee of a party that does not appear to like you very much.
Well, look, Megan, it's often very
I
difficult
bet you the question was
to be
something
the
along the
only
lines,
person
how
on
would you
stage
feel
who's
if,
telling the truth.
right?
And the only person
And
who is
I'd be
taking
upset
on
by
what
that.
needs to be taken
That-
on.
that would make
I
me
look at my
angry.
watch now. We're 17 minutes into this debate, and except for your little speech in the beginning, we've had these three acting as if
Get him, Chris.
the race is between the four of us. the fifth guy, who doesn't have the guts to show up and stand here, he's the one who, as you just put it, is way ahead in the polls. And yet, I've got these three guys who are all seemingly to compete with, Voldemort, he who shall not be named. They don't want to talk about
Nerd
it.
reference. Chris
The
Christie's
fact
crushing
is
it.
that when you go and you say the truth about somebody,
Give that man the
who is
nomination.
a dictator, a bully, who has taken shots at everybody, whether they've given him great service or not over time,
great
who
service.
dares to disagree with him, then I understand why these three are
Look at what
timid
she
to say
says,
anything
if
about it.
Christie and Haley
Maybe it's
team
because
up,
they have
it's
future
over.
aspirations. Maybe those future aspirations are now, or maybe they're
So
4
Christie
years from
being
now.
her VP?
But the fact of the matter is, the truth needs to be told.
I don't think
And
they'll
for
vote
us
for
to go
Haley.
17 minutes
She's
without
still a woman.
discussing
Like,
the
I hate
guy
to break
who
it to you
has
guys,
all those
but the
gaudy numbers
Republicans
you
are
talked
fucking
about
misogynist.
is
Like,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm in this race because the truth needs to be spoken.
Because
He
women,
is unfit.
will start World War
This is a
III
guy who just said
on
this
our time
past
of the
week
month.
Yeah.
that he wants
Because
to use the Department of
there's a reason.
Justice to go after his
Cut
enemies
to a
when he
scene of
gets
all
in there.
these men screaming
and
at each
the fact
other.
of the matter is, he is unfit to be president, and there is no bigger issue in this race, Megyn, than Donald Trump, and those numbers prove it.
Governor Christie, we will
Well
be
said.
Got a
addressing
big point
that
there.
issue
Well said.
of Donald Trump
They
in
should
just a
speak the
moment,
rest of
but
the
I'd
debate
like to
just
first get to some
talking about Trump.
questions on Israel. Governor DeSantis, tonight as we speak, the war is back on in Gaza. Israeli tanks are on the move and have surrounded the home of the leader of Hamas. 8 Americans have been held hostage in the tunnels beneath Gaza for 60 days now. American troops and warships in the Middle East are under attack. How far would you go as president to secure the release of those 8 American hostages? And would it
I'd nuke them.
include sending
Oh, here
American
comes the
forces
here
into
comes the
combat?
cap.
We have to look out for our people. When there are hostages, Commander-in-Chief, you have to do whatever you can to get them done. But the overall issue
Get 'em
with this
done.
is this administration is trying to hobble Israel from being able to defend itself. They have a right to eliminate Hamas and win a total and complete victory so that they never have to deal with this again. Hamas wants nothing less than a second Holocaust. They would wipe off every single Jew off the map. They would destroy the state of Israel if we could.
If I was in
Joe
Michigan, I'd
Biden will
vote for
say
you.
they support
Progress
Israel,
only.
and
We
then they do
could.
nothing
And
but
big
try to
men see if they
kneecap them
could.
every step of the way.
Nope.
You should not try
You heard it
to
right.
direct their
We
war
could.
effort.
Okay.
We should work
He wants to
together
wipe
with
out
them
Israel.
so that they can bring Hamas to heel. Look, I served in
Hamas to
Iraq back
heel.
in the day. I'm the only one running for president that served in the military. I understand
In the
that part of
Navy,
the world.
as a
It's not the
lawyer.
best
You
part
weren't
of the world.
deployed, asshole.
We do have troops there that Biden is leaving basically as sitting ducks. And you have the Iranians that are attacking these troops, and he's responding with basically pinpricks. If you harm an American service member, you're going to have hell to pay when I'm president. We are not going to let our troops be sitting ducks. We also need to look at what's the underlying problem here. Iran. Biden is doing nothing to bring Iran to
Dave,
account.
nice.
You got to
What a
turn the
jag,
screws on them.
literally.
Don't let them have any oil revenue. The money they get, they send to Hamas, they send to Hezbollah, and they foment jihad throughout the Middle East. So Biden has empowered Iran just like he's empowered other adversaries.
Republicans are
we
pushing for a
stand with Israel.
Christo-fascist,
They're our best ally in the Middle East. We have a unique
fucking
relationship with them.
non-democracy in
and you will
America,
see a
but
strong
I'm
relationship when I'm president of the United
regime.
States.
But would you
Yeah,
say
but everybody
that-
else is bad. Well, y'all are literally trying to do that
This
here,
is the
and we're
problem
stopping you.
with the first 3 debates. Ron gets asked a question, and he doesn't answer it. Your question was very specific. You said, would you send American troops as commander-in-chief? And he went on to this minute and 30-second hosanna about his knowledge of the military and what we
Get
need
him.
to do, and didn't answer your question. Look, when you're president of the United States, you're not going to have a choice whether to answer that question or not. Your generals, your Secretary of Defense, your Secretary of State, your National Security Advisor are going to present plans to you. They're going to look at you and say, do we go or don't we, Mr. President? And you can't give a 90-second speech about your military services.
So would
laudable
you,
as it
would
is.
you send American troops in to rescue
I
these
would
hostages?
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. If they had a plan which showed me that we could get them out safely, you're damn right I'd send the American Army in there to get our people home and get them home now. And I'll answer that question directly.
Thank you, Governor Christie.
There you go.
He's really going this
You have
middle
said
of the
it was
road shit, and it
irresponsible
is
for
playing
Ambassador
well, I
Haley
think.
to call Hamas's
Oh, yeah.
terrorist
He's gonna get some-
rampage
he's
an
gonna get an
attack
uptick.
on
I don't think he's
America,
gonna get enough,
and for
but-
her to, quote, rabidly
He'll
shout,
beat out them,
finish them,
the rest of them
end
on the
quote.
stage, I think.
The Hamas terror attack left dozens of Americans dead and was the deadliest attack on Jews since the Holocaust. Why wouldn't it be a good thing to finish Hamas?
Finish them was purposefully vague in a discussion that included Iran, which is what I objected to. And I think it's, as U.S. president, you have to be responsible. What happened to Israel was dead wrong. What Hamas did was medieval. It was subhuman. It was immoral. And we have to call that out for what it is on
Some
October
would say
7th.
it's almost equivalent, but that's another
that
show.
was an attack on America fails a
It was
basic
suburban.
test. I mean, Nick, if you can't tell the difference between where Israel is and the U.S. is on a map, I can have my 3-year-old son show you the difference. That is irresponsible because it has major consequences, because that doesn't leave room for what
you just look like an
actually is
asshole
attack
because it's a
on
stage
America.
full of women and you
So
took
I
a shot
believe I
at the
have the
girl.
strongest
So good job,
pro-Israel
buddy. You look like
position
a
actually
dick.
on the stage, even though it's a little bit different than the standard GOP talking
And Christie
points.
made the-
And it is this.
has already made the point.
founding vision of Israel,
This
David
isn't the
Ben-Gurion,
issue.
the
You
George
guys are
Washington
fighting
figure
over
of Israel,
nothing.
what did he believe? He believed that we don't want, as Israel, to depend on the fleeting sympathies of the West and have our hands tied. I think Israel has an absolute right to defend itself to the fullest, without the U.S., the UN, or the EU, or anybody
will
else
defend myself
second-guessing
into
their
anyone
decisions,
else's
as the
country.
Biden administration, guess what, is now starting to do. I think that's a more deeply
right, well, let's
pro-Israel
take that a step
position
further.
than anybody
They
else,
have that
and it
right.
keeps the actual
Let's
lines
stop
of
sending them
accountability
weapons.
clear, because it is a pro-American position.
Problem
And as
solved.
leader of the United States of America, just as a father of 2 sons, my sole moral duty is to my family. As your next president, my sole moral duty is to you, the people of this country. That's how I'm going to lead.
Stop
So I'll
looking
tell
at
Bibi,
me,
you
you
smoke the
fucking
terrorists
weird
on your
dude.
southern border. You go ahead, and we're rooting for you. We're going to smoke the terrorists on our own southern
We
border.
can see your
and that's how
eyeglass
I'm going to
line.
lead this country.
But Americans
Thank you,
were
Mr.
killed in that
Ramaswamy.
attack. Americans were killed in that attack. And so if you looked at this
So he's
terrorist
ready to go to
attack and
war
the number
then.
of Americans, this would be one of the top 10 terrorist
So he
attacks
wants America to go to
in
war with
American
Hamas.
history.
You are
so
an
our own
idiot.
people were killed in that attack, and I think it's absolutely appropriate to point that out.
What if they
and
were
to say that
liberals,
we're
though,
in this
Ron
together,
DeSantis? What if they
and
were
we are
liberals?
going to work with Israel so that
Oh,
these people
they won't
are
have
brought to
American
justice.
citizenship
I agree
under
with
his presidency.
Right.
Ambassador Haley, I'm coming to you. Iran is on the
No
threshold of
clapping to
becoming
that,
a
by the way.
nuclear state. The Wall Street Journal reported that Iranian military leaders gave the green light for Hamas's attack on Israel. You said in last month's debate that, by contrast to the Biden administration's approach to Iran, you would, quote, punch them once and punch them hard. Were you saying that it's time to bomb Iran?
No, I was not saying it's time to bomb Iran,
that is
but
what
I
you
will
said.
tell you,
No,
I
that's
dealt with
pretty
Iran
much what
every
you
day
said.
when I was at the United Nations, and they only respond to strength. What they don't respond to is when you
They're not
weaken the
fucking
sanctions
Klingons.
like they did on Iran that allowed China to send them billions to fill their proxies. What they don't respond to is when you give $6 billion for 5 hostages. That only makes them want more hostages. What they don't respond to is
Except
when they
that's
do
not what happened, but
140
that's not what
strikes on our
happened.
men and women
So
in
it's
Syria and
fine.
Iraq.
There's
and
more
we do
steps to that, but your
nothing,
audience
just
won't be able to
some
keep
small
up.
shots back. You've got to punch them. You've got to punch them hard and let them know that.
Switch
That's
to
the
so-
only way they're going to
southern border
respond. So the way you
conspiracy.
do
Yep.
that is you go after their infrastructure in Syria and Iraq, where they're hitting
House of
our
VR
soldiers.
Is
That's
only
what you
there
do,
to
and
provide
then
a low
that's when they'll
lower
back
common
off. The
denominator so
problem
that the rest of
is
them
you
can
have to
appear
see
not
that
as
all
bad
of
as
these
him.
are
Yeah,
related.
he is a foil,
If you
right?
look at the fact Russia was losing that war with Ukraine. Putin had hit rock bottom. They had raised the draft age to 65. He was getting drones and missiles, drones from Iran, missiles from North Korea. And so what happened? When he hit rock bottom, all of a sudden, his other friend, Iran, Hamas goes and invades Israel and butchers those people on Putin's birthday. There is no one happier right now than Putin, because all of the attention America had on Ukraine suddenly went to Israel. And that's what they were hoping is going to happen. We need to make sure that we have full clarity. That
And I'm supposed to
there is a
believe
reason,
that
again,
Hamas
that Taiwanese
snuck
wanna help
past the
Ukrainians,
Israelis.
because they know if Ukraine
Okay.
wins,
The whole
China
army.
won't
Yeah,
invade
the whole
Taiwan.
ass thing
There's a
on
reason
fucking
the
paragraph
Ukrainians want to
snuck
help
into
Israelis, because they
Israel.
know that if
Yeah, okay.
Iran wins, Russia wins. These
One
are
of
all
the-
connected.
You
But
can't even
what
throw a water
wins
balloon over
all
that
of
wall
is
without
a
16
strong
people coming in
America, not a
Humvees.
weak
Get the fuck
America.
outta here.
And that's what Joe Biden's given us.
There's
I
a
want to say
new
one thing about the tie to
investigation
Ukraine.
that apparently
So
stock
foreign policy
traders
experience
knew
is not
the
same
attack was
as
coming.
Foreign policy wisdom. I
because
want
they
everybody at home
shorted
to
a
know
bunch of
that I was
like
the first
Israeli
person to
banks
say we need
and
a reasonable
companies,
peace deal in
knowing
Ukraine.
they'd take a dive
now, a lot
after
of the
the war
neocons are
started.
quietly coming
They
along
made
to that position, with the
$600
exceptions
million.
of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this,
So,
what I believe is pointless war
everybody
in
knew.
Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that.
Well, how about
this is what I
that?
want people to understand. These people have, I mean, she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are.
It's
but
in
she wants
another
to send
language,
our sons
dum-dum.
and daughters and our troops
You can look it up
and our
on a
military
map.
equipment to go fight it. So
Do we want
reject this
the-
myth that they've been
the
selling you,
Luhansk,
that somebody had a cup of
Donetsk,
coffee stint at the UN and then makes
the
$8 million
Kiev region?
after,
Are those the
has
regions
real
you
foreign
care about?
policy
Yeah.
experience.
Those are the ones
It takes an outsider
we've
to
been
see this
talking
through.
about
Look at
for
the
a year and
blank
a half.
expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for. And there's
If
a
only there was this thing called a map where she could look it up. Like, that's not a strong case, dude.
Where's the PowerPoint?
Let me just say something here. You know,
Get him,
his
Chris.
reasonable peace deal in Ukraine, he made it clear. Give them all the land they've already stolen. Promise Putin you'll never put Ukraine in Russia, and then trust Putin not to have a relationship with China. Let me tell you something. That's no
That's not
reasonable.
my deal. That's not my deal,
Yes,
Chris.
it's exactly what
I'll
you said.
describe
You
my
do
deal
this
to
at
you.
every debate.
I'll tell you exactly what it
no,
is.
don't
I'll
interrupt
tell
me.
you
I
what the
didn't
deal is.
interrupt you.
Whoa!
Okay?
Fireworks!
You,
About how you
you
wanna
do
send
this,
our troops down.
you do
Go
this
for
at
it.
every debate. You go out on the stump and you say something. All of us see it on video. We confront you out on the debate stage. You say you didn't say it, and then you back away. And I want to
I'll
say
tell you
one.
exactly
No,
what I said, Chris.
I'm not done yet.
Well, this
Now
is
look.
Get him!
Let me tell you something. This is the fourth debate that you've been voted in the first 20 minutes as the most obnoxious blowhard in America. So shut
Your version of
We're gonna let you respond to that. We're gonna let you respond to
I'll
that.
take
Let him
that.
finish.
I want to say something else.
Light him up.
We're now 25 minutes into this debate,
Oh, yeah.
and he has insulted Nikki Haley's basic intelligence. Not her positions, her basic intelligence.
Look at him,
She
he's
doesn't
flustered.
know regions. She
He's
wouldn't be able to
flustered.
find something on a map that his 3-year-old could find. Look, if you want to disagree on issues, that's fine. And Nikki and I disagree on some issues. But I'll tell you this, I've known her for 12 years, which is longer than he's even started to vote in a Republican primary. And while we
coming out
disagree about
swinging.
some issues and we disagree about who should be president of the United States, what we don't disagree on is this is a smart, accomplished woman, and you should stop insulting
So
her.
I'm going to take this. I'm going to take several times over. So first
Suck
of
it,
all,
bitch.
I think we just learned
Stop being an
something from
asshole.
Chris Christie.
Even if it's Nikki Haley. Be respectful.
We learned 3 things right there. First of all, Chris Christie also doesn't know what provinces in eastern Ukraine he actually wants us to fight for. Chris, your version of foreign policy experience was closing a bridge from New Jersey to New York.
Yeah.
So do everybody a favor. Just walk yourself off that stage, enjoy a nice meal,
Yeah.
and get the hell out of this
Let-
race.
let me tell
When it
Whoa.
comes to Nikki,
I thought he was about to say waddle.
your sons
And I would
and
be like,
daughters to
oh,
go die
buddy.
in somebody
You
else's
weren't voting.
war.
Hold on.
While you
better,
weren't
excuse
voting.
me, Chris, I'm speaking, and I'm not done yet.
I
you
haven't
had
heard
your
a
chance,
time when you aren't
and we're going to be
speaking.
done. So listen up to this: is if these
This is a
people want
train
to
wreck.
send their sons and daughters to go die in Ukraine, they've been arguing
Fantastic.
for it for a year. $200 billion of our taxpayer
mic's off.
money sent over. Neither of them
Yeah.
could even name for you the provinces that they actually want to protect. And this is the people who have been touting their so-called foreign policy experience. It is intellectual fraud. These people are lying to you, the same people who told you
Bro,
about
you're a
weapons and mass
fascist, a straight
destruction
up
in Iraq.
fascist.
To justify
You
that
were a
invasion, didn't know the first thing about it, yet they
thief.
sent thousands of our sons and
You
daughters
don't have
to go
any
die.
experience
The same
on
people who
anything.
told you the same in Afghanistan, where the Taliban is still in charge 20 years later.
Remember when you
$7 trillion of our
enlisted and went to
national
go
debt
fight
due to
them,
these
you hero?
toxic
Oh, wait,
neocons.
you stole
You could
money
put
from
lipstick
poor
on a
people.
Dick Cheney, it is still a fascist neocon.
Thank
and
you,
you gotta
Mr.
see that
Ramaswamy.
today.
Thank you,
It's
Mr.
Dick Cheney
Ramaswamy.
all over again in this party.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy. 15 seconds.
Name the provinces. Neither of you could even
Mr.
name the first thing about
Ramaswamy,
Eastern
thank you.
countries.
I think we've had enough.
Because they don't have to do your
Think
test.
about that.
Let me just.
It's actually Crimea is the wrong answer.
All right. The floor is Christie's.
No,
Let me
Crimea
just say
is
this.
an answer.
You know,
Oh.
this is the kind of thing where he talks about experience. You know, I was the U.S. attorney in New Jersey when the terrorist attacks were launched against the United States in 2001. I brought the first two cases in this country against terrorists who tried to attack us again. And I know about the threat of terrorism and bullying in this country and around the world.
Brenda says these
And
people are
at that
trash.
time, he was learning about the provinces in Ukraine,
Yeah,
sitting with his
Brenda's right.
smart-ass mouth at Harvard. That's what was going on. And so The fact of the matter is, and back then he was a Democrat. So you know, the fact is that all he knows how to do.
Well, you were busy hugging Barack Obama and getting him elected.
Thank you.
All he knows how to do is insult good people who have committed their lives to public service and not say anything that moves the ball down the field for the United States.
All right, thank you, Governor Christie. We are going to take a quick break, cool things down a little bit. When we come back, we're going to tackle issues on the southern border.
Yikes, finally we get a fucking commercial break. God damn. That's like half an hour.
Blood in the water.
Yeah, they're
crazy.
This is I feel like mommy and daddy are fighting. You know what I mean? Like they are not happy with each other.
Man, Tim is
Chris
missing
Christie has earned some points in
forest fire of a debate.
And see, Ollie, we knew Chris Christie already, and we kind of knew what kind of guy he was. We figured this was in him, but he wasn't doing it in the first first three debates. You don't give a fuck. And he's like, okay, everybody shut up. This guy's an asshole. Like, this guy's
he is
being a
done
dick.
giving a shit. He knows he won't win.
Yeah.
And he's done giving a shit, and he's going out with a blaze of glory and trying to take. Well, I think he's trying to take Trump with him, but Vivek is the one that's going to really get taken down here, at least.
Simply Secular Dave in the chat.
I don't think there's anything he can do to take Trump down.
Simply Secular Dave in the chat says, I mean, this is high ground here. Only a hair or two higher, but Christie seems to have landed on it. And yeah, because at the end of the day, the American voter, left, right, whatever, they don't like a fucking asshole. And Vivek is just being a fucking asshole. Like he's not making good points. He's belittling her and he's talking down to her like she's a, you know what I mean? Like people can feel that kind of ick that you put on people and it's not working. And you got called on it. And what is this commercial?
His response was to turn it on to, his response was to turn on Christie and accuse him of being fat, basically.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, right?
You closed down
fuck.
You're coming in and out, Ollie. You're doing the thing. The wavy thing. You might just be a little too far away.
No, the mic's right next to me, dude.
Well, then speak up. Be heard, young gentleman.
I will fix it. I will turn on and off.
Command your space, Canadian.
Command the seas, the frozen seas that surround PEI.
You could have told me it was doing the wave thing.
It's doing the wave thing. I just told you. You didn't hear me?
All right.
Now we got a
Caplita.
Still
doing the same
for
thing?
bipolar 1 and 2 depression.
You're very quiet still.
Yeah, something's
very
different.
Quiet still.
What do we got? Next ad looks like.
What about now? Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
I turned it up 10%.
Well, let's see. Let's get into the chat. Y'all let us know how it's going. What part of that didn't Trump do? Do U.S. voters need another candidate in that lane? And that's the thing.
Yeah.
So I think he's trying to be Vivek is trying to be the substitute Trump. He doesn't want to be Trump. He just wants to be the next crazy guy. Not the next Trump guy, but the next, this is so wild and out there. Let's go for the extreme. Like, yeah. You want to polarize, you want to do all this stuff because you just want to force people to choose. I don't know if this is the election for that. Obviously, it's not going to work.
No.
This motherfucker is not going to be president.
What worries me more about him, dude, is he's so young. He's not running just this year. He's running 28, 32, 36.
But see, this is where that very useful foil comes into play. So if someone says, "Hey, man, I need you to run for president," we'll pay for it. Just go out there and do shit. But that'll hurt my career. That's what the money's for. So you pay a stooge to go out there and say dumb shit. And I think that's what they did with Trump, to be honest. I think it was just a grift, to try to score it.
Backfired so poorly.
I honestly think it was just a grift because he was like, I can keep the campaign money if I lose? Oh, fuck yeah, let's fucking go out there and just say dumb shit. I'll fucking lose and keep all the fucking cash. This is fucking genius. I'm going to run every year. Dumb fucking
Hillary
won.
was unelectable, so he got in.
Yeah. Because the Democrats backstabbed Bernie and forced Hillary on us, and everyone said, I would rather die. And now we're in the current.
And now we're dead.
And now we're all currently dead. We're all currently in the dead condition. We're bleeding and dying.
Another thing to keep in mind, Ollie, is that the number of candidates that ran in the last election for the Republicans for the nomination, very few tried.
Yeah.
To get this.
Against Trump in 2020? Yeah.
Correct. But no, I still think that a lot of times people will run once, maybe twice, and if they don't get the traction, they stop running. So.
No, I think this guy's so young. I think he's going to be able to run now. He's going to run. He might not run in 28, but he'll run again in 32, and then he'll wait another couple of years to run again.
No, he'll be in prison for corporate fraud or something like that.
I don't think he's going to be able to keep up the funding. I think somebody's funding him, and that's why he's trying this time. They're not going to do it again. It's just to distract.
To shoot, quote, stone cold dead anyone illegally entering with a
tough
backpack
guy.
that you believe contains fentanyl. Critics have called this a shoot first, ask questions later policy that would amount to extrajudicial killing.
Tough.
You are a former military lawyer. Why do you think this idea of yours?
Your smile scares children.
The drug cartels are invading our country, and they are killing our citizens by the tens of thousands every year.
The citizens are killing themselves.
We had a situation in Florida. There was an 18-month-old baby that was crawling on the floor of an Airbnb rental. There was fentanyl residue on the carpet, and the baby died. Is this acceptable in this country?
All right, I'm looking that up.
The elites in D.C., they don't care. They don't care that fentanyl's ravaging your community. They don't care that illegal aliens are ravaging our community and overwhelming our community. The commander-in-chief not only has a right, you have a responsibility to fight back against these people.
And does that mean shooting first?
It means you're gonna categorize them as foreign terrorist organizations, and we will identify just like we would anywhere. When I was in Iraq, the Al Qaeda wasn't wearing a uniform. You'd see anyone walking down the street, they all had man dresses on. You didn't know if someone had a bomb, an IED attack, or not. And so you had to make a judgment based on intelligence, based on positive identification. But we're going to be able to get the intelligence on these cartel people. And here's the thing. If we had a wall across the southern border, which I support, this would not have happened. We need to build a wall across the southern border. I'll get it done, and Mexico is supposed to pay for it. Remember, here's how you do that. I'm going to have fees on remittances from foreign workers when they send the money back to foreign countries. We're going to tax it, and we're going to build a wall with that. So, yes, you should have had that. But we don't have it. I'm going to build it. But we have to lean in on this problem. I am not going to sit there and allow mothers to lose more kids because of fentanyl overdose. I am not going to sit there and let sex trafficking go unabated or human trafficking go unabated. There's going to be a new sheriff in town, and these drug cartels better buckle up.
So, unfortunately, he is correct. There is a child that passed away on a Florida rental Airbnb in 2021
then you
through the
said in
fentanyl
Londonderry,
overdose.
New Hampshire last month that you will not deport those who are working and paying taxes rather than feeding off the system. Which is it?
So first of all, what I said is all of the 7 or 8 million illegals that have come under Biden's watch absolutely have to go back. We have to stop the incentive of what's bringing them over here in the first place.
Yeah, we don't care what happens to those people.
Temporary protective
Screw 'em.
status to 500,000 Venezuelans. That's 500,000 Social Security cards. That's 500,000 driver's licenses. And I know from my time at the United Nations,
That's another
the first thing
500,000
they do
people
is
paying
pick up the phone and
taxes.
said, "We came over, come on over." And that's what sends more. You have to go and deport these people so they know it can't happen again. For those that have been here longer than that, we've got to start seeing who is it, how long have they been here, have they been vetted, have they paid taxes, have they been working, and figure out who else is out there. But what I know is my parents came here legally. They put in the time, they put in the price. They are offended by those that are coming illegally. We can't let them skip the line. But when you talk about fentanyl like you did before,
ordered barbecue.
Let's look at something else. Yes, I think we should send
He wants
special
to deport
operations
all the
over and
immigrants.
take out the cartels. I think
She's
we
an
should
immigrant.
do a remain in Mexico.
Oh, but her parents
policy so
did it
they
right,
never
so
step foot in
they're
U.S.
good
soil in the
people.
first place. But look at where fentanyl came from. Let's go to the heart of the matter. It came from China. That's why we need to end all normal trade relations
Also,
with China
I did check.
until they stop murdering
A child
Americans
did die
with
in a
fentanyl.
Florida
I promise
Airbnb
you, they
due to
need our
fentanyl.
economy. They will
Because the
immediately
Airbnb
stop
was a
that.
party
But
house,
this is where Trump
and
went wrong.
people left drugs
Trump
there.
was good on trade, but that's all he was with China. Because
you let your
here
kid
he
walk
allowed
on the
fentanyl
floor
to
in a
continue to come
fucking
over.
Airbnb?
He continued to allow them
Or
to
just put 'em on a fucking
he would
hotel
give
floor.
them technology that would build up their military and hurt us. He allowed the Chinese infiltration for them to buy up farmland, to put money in our universities, and to continue to do things that were harmful for America. We now have a spy base in Cuba and police stations, and Trump didn't do anything about it.
Thank you.
China, though, I mean, listen, this is rich, because when she was governor of South Carolina, she was the #1 ranked governor of bringing the CCP into her state. She wrote a love letter to the Chinese ambassador saying how great a friend China is. You can look at it. We put it on our website, RonDeSantis.com.
We do a massive amount of trade with them, so they are.
Standing in front of a Chinese flag with a Chinese business saying that she now works for them, talking about this Chinese company.
I thought it was me.
So she's been very weak on China. Now, here's the problem. The rhetoric is different, but her donors, these Wall Street liberal donors, they make money in China. They are not going to let her be tough on China, and she will cave to the donors. She will not stand up for you.
15 seconds, Ambassador.
And I would cave if they had decided to back me.
Yeah,
but now
exactly.
I won't
Wall
cave.
Street donors used to support him, and now they support me.
Exactly.
The second thing is
They switched candidates.
A Chinese company, UGAS, that he just did a rally there last year. They have given you $340,000 in campaign donations between them and their employees. They are tied to the Communist Chinese Party. Jinko Solar is another one. They went and expanded. You gave $2 million in subsidies.
I banned China from buying land in the state of Florida.
But only China's close friends.
Nikki Haley brought Confucius Institutes to the universities in South Carolina.
That is not true.
I ejected them, so I have a record of standing up and doing what's right.
That's a religion.
You have a record of lying.
She's trying to say things like that. Even the liberal media groups that usually, if I say the sky is blue, they'll fact check me and say that's
Orange
wrong. They
spammer in the
looked at her
Ben's Discord
charges.
server.
They said it was totally false, that they could not find one instance of me recruiting a Chinese business coming to Florida. You know why? Because we never recruited any Chinese businesses to the state of Florida.
Thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy, over the past year, fentanyl has killed more than 75,000 Americans, 1,000 of them right here in Alabama. You have vowed to use the military to, quote, annihilate drug labs inside Mexico,
Why do you
something the
think so
president
many
of
of our
Mexico
citizens
said
are
would be a
doing
hostile
drugs?
act. But fentanyl can easily be made
I think I'm not
anywhere,
blurry
and
anymore. Am I
labs
still?
that are
Am I
shut
clear
down
now?
can easily and
Yeah,
quickly
you're better.
be
You're good.
replaced. Are your tough enforcement policies offering false hope to a country racked by addiction?
To the contrary, I don't think it's going to have to come to that if we deal with the actual demand side problem that we also have in this country. I mean, the easy part is talking about how we're going to use our military to secure the border. I will, and I believe that everybody else wants to do the same thing. But the harder part is dealing with the crisis of purpose and meaning, the mental health epidemic raging across this country like wildfire. And there's a reason why after the opioid crisis, you see fentanyl.
You heard it here
and
first.
even after we get
Universal
fentanyl, and we are going to be sure to make sure we do it, this one is worse for many reasons. They're illegally lacing it into pharmaceuticals, so it's more dangerous. But we're deluding ourselves. The real false promise here is thinking that we're going to have dealt with that underlying mental health epidemic in this country by just dealing with the demand side of it. But I want to get back to this issue of the root cause, because a lot of these are coming from labs in Wuhan, China, of all places. Drug materials that are going to the Mexican drug cartels that they're pumping across that southern border like a modern opium war. I think it is going to take a U.S. president that's going to have a very different conversation with Xi Jinping than what Joe Biden just had in California. I will tell Xi Jinping, you will not only not buy land in this country or donate to universities in this country, U.S. businesses won't expand into the Chinese market until they're playing by the same set of rules. And the same country that's putting fentanyl into illegal pharmaceuticals in Mexico, it's no coincidence, is the exact same country that also unleashed hell on the world with the COVID-19 pandemic. We also have to hold them accountable with every financial lever that we have available. That is what it actually means to stand with a spine. And you mark my words, if we're willing to stand with the spine, China will absolutely have to fold because they're in a tougher spot than we are. And then we're back to playing by the same set of rules.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy. Thank you. Let's talk about the economy.
I see the spam. Holy shit.
Homeownership has always been part of the American dream, but it's increasingly out of reach.
Yeah, she's in a couple of my servers. I'm
Americans.
going through them now.
This year, mortgage rates reached 30-year highs. Home prices have risen $190,000 over the past decade. Is this the free market at work? Or should the federal government do something to make homes more affordable?
Well, first of all, I mean, you're exactly right. My daughter just got married, and I saw how hard it was for her and her husband to buy a home. Right now, the average
$800 million
in America is 49 years old. You've got young people everywhere. That used to be the American dream, and now it's out of reach. But you look at what happened. You first of all look at what the Fed did. The Fed did a terrible job when they allowed all of that money to go through. You saw the Treasury bond rates go up. That affected mortgage rates, that affected automobile rates, that affected insurance rates. And so now we have a high interest rate. You've got a supply issue. Ask any builder. The supply issues have continued to be there. That's caused the rate to go up.
Bullshit.
And then you've got
fucking lying
that have gone up. And so what you have is a lot of younger people who, one, can't afford a home, but two, the banks aren't lending them any money. They've made the regulations so hard that they don't want to give loans on mortgages anymore.
Let's deregulate it.
So what we have to do is we have to open it up. We have to, one, grow our economy so that people have more money in their pockets.
How about
We've got
fix
to look at the
interest
supply
rates,
chain
which was
and
done
make sure
under,
that we
I
are
believe,
funneling that so that builders don't have to sit there and go overseas to find things. And then we need to make sure that we really stop paying down this debt, make sure that we stop the borrowing, stop the spending. I'll veto any spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels, because our kids are not going to forgive us for all the spending that happened. And as much as everybody wants to talk about how Donald Trump had a good economy, $9 trillion in debt he did just in 4 years. And we're all paying the price of that, including those mortgage prices.
We're going to come back to President Trump, I promise. Governor DeSantis, the latest News Nation Decision Desk poll found that inflation tops the worries of American voters.
Are they going to let Chris Christie talk at all?
No, I don't know. They never asked him a question.
He said enough.
Economists say this was fueled by a glut of federal spending. The Biden administration has added $6 trillion to the national debt so far. But President Trump wasn't exactly a penny pincher. His administration added $7.8 trillion. Do Republicans, including President Trump, share the blame for inflation?
Sound like a word to me.
And what concrete steps would President DeSantis take to help Americans make ends meet?
The borrowing, printing, and spending of money was both parties in Washington, D.C. That's just a fact. These Republicans in Washington have spent. It's driven your prices higher, and it's driven your interest rates to the point where you can't afford. I met a young fella in Iowa. He had graduated college a couple years ago, and he's like, Governor, I don't have a chance. I'm gainfully employed. He's like, I have no chance to afford a home and start a family. That is taking the American dream away from people. So we're going to get the inflation down. We're going to get the interest rates down. We are going to reduce spending, and I will be willing to veto, and I vetoed a lot as governor of Florida, and we'll do that. We're also going to open up all of our domestic energy for production. Lower your gas prices.
That's not going to help.
Lower the price of fuel.
Nope.
That's going to help the economy. It also
there's
helps
more,
jobs, and we'll do
they'll
it. But
just
you know, another
sell
thing that's
less.
burdening young people are these student loans. Now, I don't support having a truck
Because they're
driver
business
having to pay
people.
a student loan for someone that got a degree in gender studies. That is wrong. We should not have taxpayers do that. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to get to the root cause of the problem. These student loans are going to be backed by the universities because they need to have an incentive to produce gainful employment for people. They should not be indulging in ideological
Put all of
studies.
the
They should be
loans in the
focusing on
hands of
things
the
that
school.
work. And we're going to take some of this money.
Now
and
they
we're
can
gonna
really
move it
make sure
to
those black kids
actual
don't get in there.
vocational training. In Florida, we doubled apprenticeships.
Now
We
I
have
can
more
really
truck
control
drivers.
my student
These are
populace.
in-demand skills.
I
Don't
offer
let
the loans,
anybody
too.
tell you that the only way you can be successful is through a 4-year brick and ivy degree. That's one way you can be. It's not the only way, and we're going to fix that problem in the United States of America.
We're going to open it up so that the colleges can exploit as many people as possible.
You praised cryptocurrency like Bitcoin as an opt-out from our, quote, broken financial architecture.
Yeah, he's trash. No one likes him.
You oppose efforts to
His
regulate
supporters
it.
don't like him.
The head of the largest international crypto exchange just pleaded guilty to allowing his platform to launder money for terrorists, including Hamas.
Bitcoin.
You say your cryptocurrency plan will, quote,
No more US
ensure
dollar.
economic freedom for Americans, end quote. Won't it also ensure economic freedom for fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists?
Look, fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists have been defrauding people for a long time.
Let's
Our
make it
regulations
easier
need
for
to
'em.
catch up with the current moment. The fact that SBF was able to do what he did at FTX shows that whatever they have as the current framework isn't working. And I think it is nothing short of embarrassing that Gary Gensler, the current leader of the SEC, in front of Congress, could not even say whether Ethereum counted as a regulated security or not. And so I think that this is just another example of the
because you guys don't have any definitions for anything.
Here's the dirty little secret in American politics.
Everything's just blockchain. Everything's
the people
blockchain.
Who we
blockchain.
elect to
I just
run the
answer
government
blockchain when they brought you in front of fucking
even actually
Congress.
running the government.
When
it is the bureaucrats in those three-letter agencies
Facebook went to
that are
make their
writing
own
regulations
money, and
that
they wanted to allow
Congress
people
never
to send
gave
money back and forth to
the
each other, so
authority
they went
to
to make
write.
their own
And the good
currency.
news is, a U.S. president
Everyone
can
jumped up like, you don't know what you're doing.
That takes
But all
a US
these crypto
president
people
with
are
a
doing the
spine.
exact same thing.
So what
You
I've said
need to
is in my
regulate
administration,
money,
by the end of
or else
year
you're just
one,
going to
we will have a
sponsor terrorists
75%
and
reduction
drug trafficking.
in the number of federal
I do think
bureaucrats. We will shut
cryptocurrency
down
can
government
have a
agencies
utility
that should not
function.
exist.
But there's
will
no
rescind
regulation,
any
there are no
regulation
definitions,
that fails
and
the
there's no
test
oversight.
of West
Yeah.
Virginia
Like,
versus EPA,
It's just
which is the most
scams.
important
It's just,
Supreme
can
Court
I
case
get
of
people
our
to
lifetime.
give into
Invest.
this? Yeah, invest into this new money system.
Then it's
And then what
unconstitutional.
happens to those people? Is it
These are
FDIC insured up to
seismic
250?
changes. These
Oh,
are big
no.
changes
Yeah,
that
exactly.
even a
so,
little bit.
so if you're not going to fucking do that, then stop fucking letting people rob other people
And I want people to understand
and
that
promising them
distinction,
this is
because
the
people have been sold
future.
myths by
Gary
politicians for a
Gensler
long
of the
time
SEC
saying,
is a
I'm gonna
piece of
work
shit,
with
though.
Congress to
So
do this or
I
that.
do
Much
agree
of
with
what
him
you
on
heard
that,
on
but
the
like
stage
that's
from
the
other
only thing he
politicians
said that was
fit
correct.
that
But that's
description
what they
in
do. They
Congress.
sprinkle something that we
The
agree
things that I'm
with
promising you,
into
this
the
is what
bullshit.
the leader of the executive branch gets to
Freedom.
do under Article 2
Painting
of the
doorknobs
Constitution.
red
Thank
somewhere.
you,
Yeah.
sir.
Cut down the bureaucracy. That's how
Thank
we
you,
grow our
sir.
economy and put the Federal Reserve in its place. This is part of the crypto discussion.
At least M. Night makes good movies. This guy makes shit movies, I bet.
So one of the dangers that we're going to face, Biden wants, is a central bank digital currency. They want to get rid of cash, crypto. They want to force you to do that. They'll take away your privacy.
costs money.
They will absolutely regulate your purchases.
Cash is fucking
On day one as
expensive.
president, we take the idea
And
of
it's
central
dirty.
bank digital currency.
It's so
and we
much
throw it in
paper.
the
We
trash can.
already
It'll
do-
be dead on arrival.
Digital money in your bank is basically cryptocurrency as a dollar bill.
And when we come back,
And it's FDIC insured.
huge, you might
And it's
even say.
insured.
But I need,
That's all
but I
it
need,
is.
so that's my question, right? Why the fuck would I need crypto when I have a fucking debit card and I have Apple Pay? What exactly are you offering that isn't already available? Except that you control it as opposed to the people who are beholden to stockholders and they have a physical building so I can go in there and talk to somebody. You're just some fucking bro on vacation taking everyone's cash.
Well,
Whatever.
I do believe it's not going back to, what was it, Hamilton, that supported the creation of a national bank, which was then, why isn't Tim here? He'd know. I forget which president got rid of our national bank.
I'm on it.
It might have been Thomas Jefferson. It's one of those. They basically didn't renew the charter, so then we got rid of it. But having a nationalized bank and if they decide to just make a new cryptocurrency that's directly tied to the dollar that is federally regulated, that would be fine. Or some other one they bring in, regulated, connected to it, that's fine. Jackson, thank you.
Shortly after the election, Jackson ordered that the federal deposits be removed from the Second National Bank and put into state banks. Although Jackson's order met with heavy criticism from members of his administration, most of the government's money had been moved out of the banks by late 1833.
Correct. So they were already doing it, but like a centralized banking federal system has utility and purpose, especially for protecting the market. We kind of already do it now through like so many different insured government agencies. But
I wonder what the world looks like if some of these people on stage today got what they wanted. Right.
Oh, it's a shit show.
So let's take Ron DeSantis for example, and his shit with the fentanyl, and people with backpacks full of fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
So his thing is shoot to K. He is not offering redemption. He's not offering. So what? Let's play that out for 6 months. And he's out there with his camouflage on and his sniper rifle, and he's picking off teenagers, right? And he's picking off teenagers, and he's, or even better, he's asking a lot of the Mexican American people that work on the border because they're multilingual, and that's why they're so critical to have down there. So you want them to do it. So you want the brown people to shoot other brown people coming across the border, doing whatever the fuck they need to do because the cartel says, I'm going to kill your family if you don't. So what your plan is over time is to just shoot all of them so that they don't show up anymore. That's the plan.
And have them shoot themselves, and then you're double reducing that group. that you don't like.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
I mean, if only we gave groups in Mexico City if we leaned our support with the groups that are trying to clean up Mexico, that are trying to get rid of the corruption, but they cannot. They are not safe. They can't do what they need to do to clean up their country because it's so corrupt that it's dangerous to be a good person. So when people escape there and try to come here, Ron DeSantis is like, and that's when you tick in and sight in your laser scope so
and
you can
shoot the fleeing civilians
so you can take them out. Like, what does that make you look like? I have a strong border. I'm protecting all these people who are purchasing drugs and taking them. They're overdosing because they're sad. Have you ever thought about doing shit that made them less sad?
No. That's complicated.
Because I'm pretty sure like it'll be it won't help anybody's mental condition to know that the fentanyl is now blood fentanyl. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't, people still bought diamonds even though they figured out that it was little kids going into the mines.
And they still fucking do. Like that hasn't changed. And also they're still skating over the fact that the vast majority of fentanyl is smuggled over the border via the ports, via American citizens that are doing the drug running. So going to war with the Mexican cartels won't have any effect on the fentanyl in this country.
Well, if you want to fight the cartel, the way to do it is not to wipe out every single foot soldier. You know what I mean? Like you don't start at the guy running across with a backpack. You don't start there.
Well, and
Oh, go ahead, and then I'll turn it up.
I want to keep talking about this. I forget which South American, Central American country has decided to take the path of, we were so sick of crime and the gangs were so powerful, we just straight up arrested everyone that was suspected of being involved with the group and threw them into a new supermax prison while we try to figure out who's guilty or not. That is a radically drastic step.
It won't work either.
Violent crime plummeted 90%. Like it did work because they arrested like 70,000 people.
Oh, I did see that. I think it was Brazil.
President Trump's plan
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up.
We'll look it up later. But like,
we're missing.
We do have a problem. Yeah, we'll bring this back. We'll talk it later.
We'll come back.
You can ban those people from those countries. That's the way we should look at it, is which countries are a threat to us.
Oh,
you look
Lord,
at what
here we
came
go with the
across
fucking
southern
country
border.
bans
what
again.
What worries me the most are those that came from Iran, from Yemen, from Lebanon. Those
all those
areas
countries where there's people.
America. That's where you want to be
Keanu
careful.
Reeves is from Lebanon. You watch your mouth, lady.
It's about a fact that certain countries are dangerous and are threats to us. A president has one job.
Supermax sounds like a nice pad. Yeah, it's got super maximum
Make
comfort.
sure that we have good national security.
Super maximum amenities.
And that's the way you should look at it, is where the terrorist threats are, how we're going to deal with it, and what we're doing about it. And the biggest threat we have right now is communist China. But you have to also look at what Iran and Russia are doing
also
as
not
well.
really a
and we need to
communist
be
country
paying
anymore.
attention to that. That's why we have to focus on things like cyber, on space, on artificial intelligence, and not just the regular things that we've always focused on.
It's not just terrorism, though. That's important. But look what's happened in Europe. You have more anti-Semitism in Germany than at any time since Adolf Hitler. Why? Because they imported mass numbers of people
up Palestine.
who reject their culture. Europe is committing suicide with the mass migration, and it's illegal and legal.
Freezing.
Nikki Haley said the other day there should be no limits on legal immigration, and that corporate CEOs should set the policy on that. There needs to be limits on immigration, and we should not be importing people from cultures that are hostile. So, for example, I said with the Gaza, you had some of the squad wanted to import 300,000 people from the Gaza Strip. I said, no, we're not taking anyone from Gaza because of the anti-Semitism and because they reject American culture. So we've got to get smart about this. We cannot let the United States...
They're literally trapped there, you moron.
If I may just hit this point, because it relates to what they just said. There are things that the
Chris
government
Christie
can do right
Fuck
now
these
that
people.
nobody's talking about amongst the professional politicians in this race. What about all of the illegals who are already here? Here's the answer. There's 287G in the law. That is a provision that already allows ICE agents to deputize or allow local law enforcement to enforce those ICE warrants. And
there
it
you
shocks
go.
me that nobody in the Republican Party is talking about it, because there are 1 million then officials,
That's what we
law
can do.
enforcement officials in this country.
Deputize and witch hunt.
Against that backdrop, we absolutely have the ability to deport anybody who's in this country illegally.
Thank you,
we need to be
Mr.
talking about
Ramaswamy.
Whether they're legal or not.
Governor Christie.
Yeah, I want to see his
Actually
papers.
did that as governor of South Carolina.
Governor Christie.
Where's your birth
asked last
certificate?
night in
Yeah, I want
Iowa
everybody
whether
birth
he would be a
certificate on the table
dictator
right
if
now.
He wins a second term in office. Donald Trump quipped, "No, quote, except for day one," promising to seal the southern border. He is also pledged to begin the largest deportation operation
Trump basically
in
said,
American
"I'm going to be a
history,"
dictator
saying
on
that
day
migrants
one."
are, quote, poisoning
that's the
the
only
blood
day I'll
of
do
our
it.
country. He is pledged to round up and expel an estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. What do you make of that plan?
I think it's completely predictable. I mean, look, he's made it very clear. There's no mystery to what he wants to do. He started off his campaign by saying, "I am your retribution." 8 years ago, he said, "I am your voice." This is an angry, bitter man who now wants to be back as president because he wants to exact retribution on anyone who has disagreed with him, anyone who has tried to hold him to account for his own conduct. And every one of these policies that he's talking about are about pursuing a plan of retribution. And yet, at the first debate,
Brandon's right.
On the
It's
stage,
basically
when
putting the
asked
military.
if he would be convicted of federal felonies,
It will be very
would they still
expensive to
support
deport
him,
migrants
raise their
around the
hand,
country. It will
look
create a
into the
military
camera,
in our own
and
communities.
let everybody
Like
know that they would still
because we ain't letting
There'll
you
be
come in here.
citizen militias
felonies.
rounding up
Federal
anyone they
felonies,
don't
by the
like,
way.
and people just
Federal
rounding up
felonies
people
which
they just,
involve
"Oh, that's my
our
enemy.
election
They're an illegal
process,
immigrant.
federal
Support them."
felonies which
Like
involve the most sensitive
Scarlet
of our
letter
governmental secrets.
Yep.
Federal felonies where he instructed others to commit crimes. Folks who are now agreeing to go to jail because of what they did in his name. So do I think he was kidding when he said he was a dictator? All you have to do is look at the history. And that's why failing to speak out against him, making excuses for him, pretending that somehow he's a victim, empowers him. You want to know why those poll numbers are where they are? Because folks like these three guys on the stage make it seem like his conduct is acceptable. Let me make it clear. His conduct is unacceptable. He's unfit, and be careful of what you're going to get. If you ever got another Donald Trump term, he's letting you know, I am your retribution. He will only be, Elizabeth, he will only be his own retribution. He doesn't care for the American people. It's Donald Trump first.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Governor DeSantis.
And that's the show. We don't really need to talk anymore.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. Donald Trump would be older on day one of his second presidency than Joe Biden was on day one of his first. You have said Trump is not the same man he was when he ran in 2016. Your campaign is running ads showing Trump confused. And you have said he has, quote, lost the zip on his fastball. You seem to be saying Donald Trump is no longer mentally fit to be president. Is that what you think?
Look, he is showing Father Time is undefeated. The idea that we're going to put someone up there that's almost 80 and there's going to be no effects from that, we all know that that's not true. And so we have an opportunity to do a next generation of leaders and really be able to move this country forward. We also need a president that can serve 2 terms. I don't think Donald Trump, I think he's going to have, I don't think he'd be able to get elected. The Democrats want him to be the nominee. We see that. They are going to turn the screws the minute, if he got the nomination,
but do you think he's mentally fit to be president?
I think we need to have somebody younger. I think when you get up to 80, I don't think it's a job for that. But let me just respond to some of the things there. Look, the media is making a big deal about what he said about some of his comments. I would just remind people, that is not how he governed. He didn't even fire Dr. Fauci. He didn't fire Christopher Wray. He didn't clean up the swamp. He said he was going to drain it. He did not drain it. He said he was going to build the wall and have Mexico pay for it. We don't have the wall. He did say in 2016 he'd have the largest deportation program in history. He deported less than Barack Obama did when Barack Obama was president. So some of these policies he ran on in 16, I was cheering him on then, but he didn't deliver it. Here's what I can promise people. 100% of the things I promised as governor, I delivered on those promises. I beat the left time and time again, and that's what I'll do for you as president. We got to start winning again as a party. Yes, win the election, but we've got to start getting these issues. I will go in and wreak havoc on this bureaucracy. You will see people fired, and we are going to bring a reckoning for how this government handled COVID-19.
Here's what irritates Now, Chris, you've had your chance to wax eloquent on Donald Trump. You've been doing it all this whole race.
Why doesn't he just answer the question? The question was very direct. Is he fit to be president or isn't he? The rest of the speech is interesting, but completely non-responsive. And if we were in a courtroom, they'd strike the answer and say, Governor DeSantis.
No, they wouldn't. They would say that
you're a smart man.
No, they would. No, they wouldn't.
They would
Chris.
strike the answer because you're not answering
you
it.
Just
is he
don't
fit?
Like, you
is
have
he
your,
fit?
you have
no.
your thing.
Is he fit or isn't he? No, I don't have my thing.
We don't.
He's the thing. Is he fit or isn't he?
Do
you're talking about him being 80 years old.
It doesn't mean that somebody.
Yes or no? Answer the fucking question.
Is he fit or isn't he?
Ron, I think we have an opportunity to do somebody who is in the prime of their life. We don't have to worry about all this stuff with confidence. We can get it done, and we'll do it.
I'm going to come to you. Finish.
Look, Father Time is undefeated. I don't know how he would score on a test, but I know this. We have an opportunity to nominate someone and elect someone for 2 terms who's going to be spitting nails on day 1, and for 8 years.
I will be your president.
Big result. We should not nominate somebody who's almost 80 years old.
He's afraid to answer.
No, I'm not.
You have to either you're afraid or you're not listening.
No, it's not.
There's a simple question.
Malignant narcissist boys and girls. I like it. Love it.
I can't hear you. You finish, and then you get it back.
All right. Look. I'm a simple guy. Okay.
I don't know, Brenna. Megan's trying. I don't think she can. Nobody can. No one can control these people.
I'll concede you're fit, Ron. You're a new generation. You're 44 years old. I wish I was still 44 years old. Okay?
45.
So, well, congratulations. I'd still take 45. Is he fit or isn't he? And this is the problem with my 3 colleagues. They're afraid to offend. And let me tell you something. If you're afraid to offend Donald Trump, then what are you going to do when you sit across from President Xi, you sit across from the Ayatollah, you sit across from Putin? You have to be willing to offend with the truth and answer the question. Fit or unfit?
Okay, listen. I promised Ron DeSantis a minute and not a full minute.
It is not about offending.
You can weigh in and then we're moving on.
It's about pointing out, do you want to elect somebody who will be older than Biden was when he went in 2021? I don't think he's as bad as Biden was at all, but I do think that over a 4-year period, it is not a job for somebody that's pushing 80. We need somebody that's younger. We need somebody that's going to be able to go in there,
he's unfit.
Clean house on
Say the word,
and do it for 2 terms. And I'll be able to
Here's my issue with all 3 of my other colleagues on this debate stage. Is all 3 of them have been licking Donald Trump's boots for years for money and endorsements. Ron DeSantis, you've been a great governor, but you would have never been one without actually begging Donald Trump for that endorsement.
And you attacked him in your book a year ago.
Same thing with Chris Christie as a lobbyist, begging them for COVID money for his special interests in New Jersey, prepping him for the
my brain
debates
hurts.
last time around.
I understand. I've been listening the whole time. This is crazy shit.
I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden.
Yes, he is.
It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted
I don't know.
to
Like
take
you
on.
heard it
If you
though.
want
Like
somebody
that
who's gonna
huge
speak
rant
truth to
Christie
power,
did. Like
then
just
vote for
say the
somebody who's gonna
words.
Speak the truth to you. Why am I the
Mr.
only
Donald
person on the
is
stage
unfit
at least
for
who can
office,
say
and they
that
can't
January
do it.
6th now
They
does
won't.
look like it was an inside job? That the government lied to us for 20 years about Saudi Arabia's involvement in 9/11. That the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform. That the 2020 election was indeed stolen by big tech. That the 2016 election, the one that Trump won for sure, was also one that was stolen from him by the national security establishment that actually put up the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that they knew was false. There's a reason why I'm the only person on the stage who can say these things.
The election was stolen
people who were licking his boots one time
against Trump, even though he won.
Governor Christie.
Because reason.
You do not favor a ban on trans medical treatments for minors, saying it's a parental rights issue. The surgeries done on minors involve cutting off body parts at a time when these kids cannot even legally smoke a cigarette. Kids who go from puberty blockers to cross-sex hormones are at a much greater likelihood of winding up sterile. How is it that you think a parent should be able to okay these surgeries, never mind the sterilization of a child? And aren't
because
you
it's
way
the
too out of
doctor's
step on this issue
decision.
to be the
Speak to your
Republican
doctor,
nominee?
not your politician.
No, I'm not.
God.
Because Republicans believe in less government, not more. In less involvement with government, not more in government involvement in people's lives. And you know what, Megyn? I trust parents. And we're out there saying that we should empower parents in education. We should empower parents to make more decisions about where their kids go to school. I agree. We should empower parents to be teaching the values that they believe in their homes without the government telling them what those values should be. And yet we want to take other parental rights away. I'm sorry. As a father of 4, I believe there is no one who loves my children more than me. There's no one who loves my children more than my wife. There's no one who cares more about their success and health in life than we do. Not some government bureaucrat, not some. You look at these jokers down in Congress. It takes them 3 weeks to pick a speaker, and up until 2 days ago, they couldn't promote somebody in the military in the United States Senate who earned their new rank. And we're going to put my children's health and my decisions in their hands? For them to make those decisions, for Joe Biden to make those decisions, for me and for my wife, let me just say this. This is not something I favor. I think it's a very, very dangerous thing to do. But that's my opinion as a parent, Megyn. And I get to make the decisions about my children, not anybody else. And every parent out there who's watching tonight, you start to turn over just a little bit of this authority, the authority they're going to take from you next, you're not going to like. I'll stand up for parents each and every time.
So there are laws banning smoking or drinking by a certain age.
You guys are going to get to weigh in, okay? Here's my follow-up question. You talk about parental rights. Let's talk about them. When you were governor in 2017, you signed a law that required new guidelines for schools dealing with transgender students. Those guidelines required schools to accept a child's preferred gender identity, even if the minor's parents objected.
Not true.
And it said that there is no duty for schools to notify parents if their son or daughter changes their gender identity, allowing this serious issue to remain a secret between the school and a child. How is any of that pro-parental rights?
By the way, that's simply not true.
You're doing what you accuse me of, Chris. It is absolutely true.
That's simply not true.
His mic was off and he yelled anyway.
That law was put into effect in 2018 and regulated in 2018 after I was out of office, Megyn. No, we did not, Megyn. We did not issue those guidelines, and you're wrong about that. Simply wrong. I have stood up each and every time.
So I think if this is one issue that's disqualifying, it's this one.
Shut up.
I step every single time for parents to be able to make the decisions for their minor children.
But parents...
Every single time, parents should make those decisions. And by the way, you know what? Every once in a while, parents are going to make decisions that we disagree with. But the minute you start to take those rights away from parents, you don't know that slippery slope, what rights are going to be taken away next.
This conversation in a really weird way.
You do not have the right to abuse your kids.
By this logic, parents have the right to send their children to conversion camps.
These are irreversible procedures, and this is something that other countries in Europe, like Sweden, once they started doing it, they saw it did incalculable damage. They've shut it down. I signed legislation in Florida banning the mutilation of minors because it is wrong. We cannot allow this to happen in this country.
Let's compare everything to Sweden, shall we?
And I think he has an honest position. Nikki disagrees with me. She opposes the bill that we did to ban that. She said the law shouldn't get involved with it. You said the law shouldn't get involved with it. She also, though, I think, and this flows from what she did as governor of South Carolina.
These people are out of touch with this
subject. They had a bill to try to say that men shouldn't go into girls' bathrooms. And she killed that bill, and she bragged that she killed that bill. Even to this day, she bragged that. I don't think men should be going into little girls' bathrooms. I think it's wrong, and I think we have every right to protect them from that.
You're right. We should keep all politicians out of little girls' bathrooms.
I agree.
Transgenderism is a mental health disorder. We don't let you smoke a cigarette
by
the age of 18. We don't let you have an addictive drink of alcohol
and
by the age of 21.
And this is why this little fucker is an asshole.
I just challenge Ron DeSantis to go one step further and support what I think is clearly within the authority to do using federal funds just like Reagan did in '84 for the highway act that
The
said
worst
the minimum
president ever.
drinking age
Yeah,
needs to be
simulate
21.
him.
We can do the
Well,
same
no,
thing
Trump
when
was
it
the worst
comes to
president ever.
banning
Come on.
genital mutilation
No,
or chemical
Reagan's worse.
it's
castration.
still,
Iran's
it's
been
still Reagan
Reagan's
because he
worse.
opened the
federal level.
doors.
I'm crystal
Like he
clear.
opened the
That's
shit.
where I stand.
Got
And
it.
that's a mental health disorder. That's where I
it.
need to be at.
Go ahead.
So first of all, Ron has continued to lie because he's losing.
No, it's not a lie.
You are lying.
You
so
said
first
it
of
on
all,
tape.
So
for the
first of all,
record,
I will
everybody,
say
and I'm going to mute them
that
for a second.
When I was governor,
This is why us as liberals get so much shit, because I'm still stuck on the fact that none of these assholes just stood up for trans people. They all let Vivek say whatever the fuck he wants. That's the problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why people say, oh, well, you got to work on both sides of the aisle. No, the fuck we do not. We are in the business of outvoting them at this point, because this is how they fucking talk. This is how they fucking act. I'm sorry for him. And I'm sorry for the rest of the people on the stage that are too fucking chicken to stand with their trans brothers and sisters. They are fucking humans. They are fucking citizens. They are voters. They are investors.
And they have the same rights as every fucking buddy else.
They own business. They own businesses. They pay taxes. They own land. They do everything that you're talking about. They need some. They defend themselves. They believe in the Second Amendment. They're Americans. But
they serve in the military.
But you won't treat them like that. You want to treat them like, I don't know. Whatever. I'm off the soapbox. But for the record, this is why all cops are bad and all Republicans are bad. Because look at these motherfuckers not doing shit to tear his little ass up for saying that shit. They didn't say a fucking word. But it's cool.
Amen.
It's cool.
boys' bathroom, girls going to girls' bathroom. But hold on one second. I also say that biological boys shouldn't be playing in girls' sports, and I will do everything I can to stop that because it's the women's issue of our time.
This is nice legislation to protect women's sports. I actually get this stuff done.
Thank you, guys. We're going to move on. Mr. Ramaswamy, when discussing your Hindu faith in September, you seem to take a shot at Ambassador Haley, who is also Indian American and who converted to Christianity as an adult. You said, an easy thing for me to do, being a politician, is to shorten my name, profess to be a Christian, and then run. Make Vivek Vicky or whatever, end quote. Are you questioning Nikki Haley's Christian convictions? And why has your campaign made a point of referring to Ambassador Haley by her given first name, Nimrata, even though she's gone by Nikki for her whole life?
Well, my whole deal is if Nikki Haley of all people should know how to pronounce my name correctly, the rest of the news media can learn it. My deal is I'll call her Nikki when she can say my own name right. That's our little fun side bet there. Here's what I will say is deeper. I don't question her faith, but I question her authenticity. And I think that's deeper here. We were just talking about the trans issue. This is a symptom of a deeper cancer in American life. Identity politics. This new religion that says your race,
I think we
your
all
gender,
need to
and your sexuality, your identity.
Whenever we say his name, we always have to say it wrong and in a different way. Yes, going forward.
New wrong.
And I've spoken about this to the left. My books are all about this. I've preached this to the left, but it's even worse when Republicans try to play the same game. We're talking about that trans issue. And Nikki Haley's campaign launch video sounded like a woke Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light ad talking about how she would kick in heels. At the first debate, she said that only a woman can get this job done. That's what she said. After the third debate, when I criticized Ronna McDaniel after 5 failed years of leadership of this party and criticized Nikki for her corrupt foreign dealings as a military contractor, she said that I have a woman problem. Nikki, I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And I think that that's what people need to know. Nikki is corrupt. This is a woman who will send your kids to die.
Nikki is a carrot.
Buy a bigger house. This is the problem. Using identity politics more effectively than Kamala Harris.
Bro, that's all you were. That's all the notes you took the whole time. There's no other pages. That's all he wrote the whole time.
This is how this game is played. The puppet masters put up their puppet, and I reject the use of identity politics in this party.
Negro, you is a puppet.
From the left, and I'm sick and tired of the double standards. The people of this country are too. Having 2 X chromosomes does not immunize you from criticism.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Governor Haley, would you like to respond?
No. It's not worth my time to respond to him.
You have been using identity politics.
There you go. Smartest move she made all night.
Sir,
ignore the little loud man.
To the question that was to you.
Okay, we got to move on to this. Now, by arrangement with the Republican National Committee, we've got 2 questions for you about the Justice Department and our election system. Here's Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch. Governor Christie, this one's for you.
Ooh. What a
President Trump and many of his supporters claim federal law enforcement agencies have abused his civil rights for the last 8 years by, among other things, spying on him and now prosecuting him while having treated Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden with kid gloves. A recent Gallup poll shows
how many
that
lawsuits
Americans
and
think
investigations
more
did
highly
they do
of the
against
U.S.
Hillary?
Postal Service than they do the FBI or Justice Department. What would you do as president to restore the faith of the American people in these agencies?
Well, first off, I'm the only person on this stage who's actually done a job in the Department of Justice. I was the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey in the 5th largest office in this country, appointed by President Bush on September 10th, 2001. And it was an extraordinary time in this country to be on the front lines of fighting the greatest attack against our country since Pearl Harbor. And I'm proud of the 7 years I spent in the Justice Department. And one of the reasons I am is because I had an Attorney General when I came in named John Ashcroft. And John Ashcroft stood up and told each and every one of us our job was to do one thing, to make sure justice was done every day, regardless of partisanship, regardless of gender or race or any other consideration. And that's what we did for 7 years. And at a time when our country was at its greatest moment of danger in the last 40 years, we did exactly that, and there was not another domestic terrorist attack on this soil. So what I would do as president, having had that experience, and the only one who's had that experience, is to pick an attorney general who will absolutely do the same thing that John Ashcroft did. To pick U.S. attorneys who will only care about making sure that justice is done without regard to any other consideration but the facts that are presented,
really like it
and whether
when
someone is
people try
guilty
to emotionally
beyond a reasonable
hostage me
doubt,
using
and the government
9/11.
can prove it.
Yeah.
We have had
I don't like when they try to don't
Eric
try to
Holder
pivot that on
and
me.
Loretta
That's not
Lynch
a point you
and
can
Jeff
pivot on.
Sessions. And now,
Remember
our
9/11?
current Attorney General,
Yeah, exactly.
who
Yeah.
have not met that standard.
Wait,
And the only
wasn't
way
the
you
China
restore
virus the
people's
greatest
faith
attack on the
in
USA
justice
since
system
Pearl
is to
Harbor?
put someone like that in
Question
charge
mark,
of the
space,
Justice
space,
Department,
space,
and then
question
as
mark.
president to get
9/11.
at the hell out of the way on anything that involves criminal investigations. If a president's involved in trying to do something and put their thumb on the scales, Donald Trump said.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What happened? Whoa!
Boom, 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 boom,
Something's
boom,
hacking
boom,
it.
stroke. I am having a stroke.
Let's refresh.
Refresh. Oh.
Play.
Debate over.
Yo, they cut the cord on their ass. Oh, there we go.
We even have an agency that
weird.
prosecutes people for violating election laws. The result of that, in both 2020 and 2022, we counted
I'm a
millions
Republican
and millions
voter. I
of
need to
votes
see this.
on
Don't be
election
skipping
night,
it.
produced the results, it was transparent, and everybody was happy. That is not happening throughout this country. But let me tell you this as the nominee. I think it's important. Not every state's where we need it to be. There is ballot harvesting in places like Nevada, all these places. I am not going to fight with one hand tied behind my back. I'm going to have organizations in all the swing states. If they're harvesting, we're harvesting. If they're Zuckerbucks, we're Zuckerbucks. We are going to exploit whatever the rules are. I favor changing the rules to be like Florida and some of the other states that have done a good job. But until then, we have to do that. And then just on the Justice Department and FBI. I mean, I remember being, in Iraq working with FBI on the ground. And being,
oh my God!
I was a special assistant.
Christie can't
I used
stop
to have
bringing
such a
up
high
9/11.
regard for these agencies.
He can't stop bringing up that he served 10 minutes in the army in like
was
a
one
court
of the
office.
biggest abuses of power in the history of our country. These agencies need to be cleaned out. With me, you'll have a new FBI director on day one. We're going to clear out the DOJ, the IRS, all these places. Buckle your seatbelts. There's going to be a new sheriff in town.
Thank you. All right,
It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
1 minute. China up next.
Oh. Would have been a better time to just watch your dog dead.
So I know everybody's dying to know. I'm eating. I got some brisket here. I got
Brisket.
and some pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
Brisket and pulled pork.
Yeah, they had a 3-meat special. So me and the wife paid like $19 and we get 3 meats and 2 sides.
From Chili's.
No, we got two pulled porks and a brisket.
Nice.
Not great.
So you each got a pulled pork and you split a brisket.
And we split the brisket.
$19 isn't a lot for pulled pork and brisket.
No, it doesn't sound like much.
And to be fair, I don't know. Like, I get real foodie about food, and
I do too.
I don't know how long they cook this pulled pork, but not long enough, because you gotta slow cook it or smoke it long enough so that all the fat renders, not so that all the fat turns into gloppy gloopy gross shit.
You don't want globs of white fat in your pork? Come on.
And they're big, and they're big as fuck, which means that this was like a very marbled piece of meat cheap piece of meat that they threw in there anywhere with no meat on it. So
yeah,
nope.
So you threw in a piece of garbage meat, smoked it for like 2 hours, and now you're selling it. Well, it tastes like that. I'm not impressed. I won't call out the restaurant, but just know, low and slow, man.
Citizen Kane.
Low and slow. I need something to drink.
We did over for Thanksgiving.
That sounds like a lot of food for under $20. So, dude, I got to be honest with you.
But if it doesn't taste good, what's the point?
No, I get you there. It should still taste good. It just sounds like a lot of food for under $20.
The portions weren't that big either. Like, I feel like they made the portion smaller because we're getting 3. Like, I thought we were gonna have food for tomorrow.
Nope.
No. We both have 1 plate.
That's because of Biden inflation.
Oh yeah. Let's. I love
meatflation.
I love that everyone listen to me. I love it when people
20% of the population.
when they give credit to like random people for shit that they don't have anything to do. Like oh, nachos were way cheaper when Michael Jordan was playing for the Bulls. It's like, what the fuck?
What?
He's like, yeah, I need to get Mike in there. Like, okay, he just played on the team. You know, he didn't actually control the price. Oh, yeah. So you think Michael Jordan controlled the nacho prices at the United Center? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, he must have.
This is a radical departure from like prices of things, but there was an argument that an elderly gentleman was making. Because in the Midwest, we have way more roundabouts than we used to because they're better.
They're like, so much better.
Man, we're having so many tornadoes in our neighborhoods. It's because all these cars are driving in the same direction in circles.
Yeah. Gotta get rid of the roundabouts. That's how you get the funnel clouds.
It's not because global warming, it's because of roundabouts.
Yeah, never mind the fact that the jet stream is fucking flipping and flopping all over the place. Like Midwesterners, we all understand the jet stream. Like, we know that we are
screwed.
We are ants beneath it, and we just hope that it hits somebody else. Like, that's all you can really do when you're
you hear the sirens, you hide under your stairs.
Or the typical Chicago fashion is like you hear the sirens and then like that one meme of that the black lady who's like squinting looking down the street. Like, I don't think I see no tornadoes. I don't really. You know, everybody turns into a pocket meteorologist like, I mean, somebody might lose some shingles, but it's not that bad. I've been looking at clouds for my whole life and that looks okay.
Or the white suburban dad that gets out his amateur camcorder or phone and like goes out into a hailstorm and is like, look how big the hail is. Ow. I broke my phone.
You ever been stuck in hail?
No, I have.
It feels like you're being walking. It feels like you're being stoned. It is terrible.
Yesterday,
you could die. One good hit right there,
and you answer for the displays of anti-Semitism on college campuses.
Oh, here we go.
These leaders, including the president of Harvard, were asked whether calling for the genocide of the Jews would violate school policies against harassment and intimidation.
I think George Soros, the old Jew, controls everything on the liberal side. But they also love to protect Israel. But also the Jews are behind everything. But whatever.
How do you think these schools and the rest of society should balance the imperative of free speech against the need to prevent radical activists from harassing and intimidating others?
It was disgusting.
Yeah, how do we stop Trump supporters?
You know, if this had been the KKK that was doing protests on those campuses, every one of those college presidents would have been up in arms.
So pro-Palestinian sentiment equals the KKK.
That they would go and allow that kind
Jordan
of
Abhed says, nice to see Hillary Swank out and
agree
about.
with the genocide of Jews and try and say that they needed context on that. There is no context to that. This is what we need to do to deal with it. First of all, we have got to get foreign money out of our universities. You've got Arab money, you've got Chinese money, you've got others. We need to go to every university and say you either take foreign money or you take American money, but the days of taking both are over. The second thing we need to do is Biden made a mistake not including anti-Zionism in the definition of anti-Semitism. If you don't think that Israel has a right to exist, that is anti-Semitic. We will change the definition.
You don't think trans people have a right to exist?
Every school has to acknowledge the definition for
Mikey,
what
that's
it is.
different.
The third thing is we really do need to ban TikTok once and for all. And let me tell you why. For every
she can't do the
30
dances. That's why she wants it banned.
that someone watches TikTok
I bet your children
every
are
day,
upset.
they become 17% more anti-Semitic, more pro-Hamas based
What?
on doing that. We now know that 50%
That
of
is
adults
made up.
18 to 25 think that Hamas was warranted in what they did with Israel. That's a problem.
What?
When campuses also
Holy
don't
conflation,
and those are
Batman.
all
have these rallies,
those
and
are
you've
all
got students that are
racist,
scared,
white,
we need to go to
middle-aged
these
young
universities
men
and say, if
that
you're
are
not gonna
being
protect these
indoctrinated
students, if
into
you're
white
not gonna acknowledge
extremism that you
anti-Semitism,
support.
we'll take
So we
your
should get rid of
tax exempt
TikTok.
status away. That'll
But
fix it.
TikTok's
Now
China's
take
fault.
care of it for good.
China's fault.
Staying with you, Ambassador Haley.
And same thing with the churches.
On
If any
October
church
6th, the
is
Israeli
promoting a
government
candidate
thought it
or
had
a
a clear-eyed view
political
of the threat
ideal,
from Hamas.
we should take their
In
tax
fact,
exemption,
according
right?
to the New York Times,
Oh, yes.
it even
Oh, wait,
had
no.
Hamas's
Wait,
attack
Jesus?
plan and
Or
dismissed
one of the
it
other
as
ones?
an aspiration. The Israelis were
Simon
wrong.
Peter.
In our country, the FBI director told the Senate panel just yesterday that he sees, quote, blinking red lights everywhere, and that the threat level has, quote, gone to a whole nother level since October 7th.
Yeah, Dave, that doesn't
Which
even
of the
sound
threats
close
facing
to
our
being
country
the proud
do you worry
KKK
could
voice.
blindside us?
What worries me and what keeps me up at night is what happens between now and Election Day while Joe Biden's in office. That's what worries me more than anything else. But I'll tell
You need
you,
to be worried about them
fine.
Trump fans.
America right now is acting like it's September 10th. We better remember what September 12th
Oh
felt like,
my
because it only
God.
takes one. And whether you're looking at open borders that are allowing people to come in, Iran
Here it
knows
is,
the
the
easiest
fearmonger.
way to get to America is through the southern border. And we're not doing anything to
No,
stop
it's
it.
not,
We've got to
actually,
get
but
the foreign
whatever.
infiltration
Fine.
out of our country, whether it's in our schools, whether it's on our social media, whether it's we need to stop all foreign lobbying that's happening to members of Congress, and we need to start securing America again. Until we do that, we are going to be at threats. We've got to look at Iran,
We're gonna
China,
be at
and
threats.
Russia want to destroy the West. We have to start acting strong again. We've got to start protecting Americans. Right now, Americans
What are
don't
you
feel
talking
protected,
about?
and we're not doing anything to strengthen it. So Joe Biden continues to be a problem. That'll change on Election Day.
Aren't you guys scared of terrorists? When I get here, there won't be any more terrorists.
Invades Taiwan,
What are you talking
would you
about?
send American
We haven't had any
troops, as
terrorist
President
attacks in the
Biden
last 4
has
years.
said
What are
he
you
would do?
talking about?
We will be able to deter that from
Magic.
happening. I think that's the important thing.
They
We
have
need
no
a strategy
platform,
of
so they
denial
have to go through a
so that
country.
we're
That's all
deterring
this
Xi's
is.
ambitions.
What if it doesn't work?
It's going to work. Taiwan's an ally.
What
we
if
have
it doesn't
long-standing
work?
American
I haven't
policy.
thought about
and,
that,
and,
'cause
and
it's
you know
not
how
what I
that's
wanted to
done,
think
and we
about.
will follow that. But here's
That's
the
not
thing.
on my cue card.
Taiwan is important not just because of semiconductors.
Vivek
It's
didn't
important
write it
because
down
if
for me. I
China's
don't know
able to
what it
break
was.
out of this first island chain, they're going to be able to dominate commerce in the entire Indo-Pacific. They will use that
already
to
stopped
export
them. What else do you wanna do?
authoritarianism
Blow them
all
up
around
and
the
start
world,
World War
including here in the
III?
United
Yes.
States. If you look at some of these guys, actually some of them that are
That's your
supporting
only
Nikki on Wall
option,
Street,
and
they grovel to China. Anytime something happens, they got to go do that. So they already exert a huge amount of authority over this country.
Because
it
Xi
will get a lot
Jinping
worse.
isn't China.
So deterring China's ambitions is the #1 national security
not all the businesses.
task that I will do as president, and we will succeed. The 21st century needs to be an American century. We cannot let it be a Chinese century.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
I think we need to be
I'm
clear.
coming to you
I'll
next.
be clear on the same issue, if I
Okay,
may.
I'm coming to you next on Taiwan. You said if you want to stop Xi from invading Taiwan, quote, let's open a branch of the NRA in Taiwan and put an AR-15 in the hands of every family and train them how to use it. That will give Xi a taste of American exceptionalism.
They already did that.
The National
They have
Police
mandatory
in Taiwan
military
announced
service
a zero-gun policy
and a
last
vast
year.
network of military
this a
training for their
serious policy
entire
proposal?
citizenry.
And
Because
if
they're
it isn't,
terrified
why do you
of China.
keep repeating it?
That's
Well, it's
just
part of a broader deterrence strategy. And so I think I'm going to respectfully
give
disagree
everyone
with
a
Ron
gun,
here.
and then there'll
I
be
think
less
the next
war.
U.S. president needs to be crystal clear that at least for the foreseeable future, the U.S. will absolutely defend Taiwan. And it is with that clarity that we actually achieve deterrence. But I have a broader strategy than that. We need to get on side in our relationship with India, take it to the next level. India has to be able to block the Andaman Sea, which is where China gets most of its Middle Eastern oil supplies.
Also,
that's critical.
India's
I also
kind
do
of
believe the Second Amendment is a critical way of preventing foreign autocrats
his way is,
from being able to.
What I'll do is I'll try to
Why
paint
wouldn't it work
China
in
into
Taiwan?
a corner.
So it is part of a broader
so
strategy.
that they
But I do
react.
think that we need to be specific about our deterrence
That's a great
strategy,
idea.
or else
Start
Xi
a
Jinping is
tariff
just
war like Trump
encroaching
did.
by the day. And the reason
He's
why we're not
clearly
doing it
not
for China, I want to
read
be crystal
Sun Tzu's
clear,
The Art of
is
War.
because we're scared. Why are we scared? Because we
Ironic.
depend on them for our modern way of life. Why do we depend on them for our modern
back
way of
them into a
life?
corner and
It's
they have
because Nikki
nothing to
Haley's latest
fucking
friends
lose.
like Larry Fink have created commingled economies with BlackRock telling Exxon and Chevron they can't drill here, while being a shareholder of PetroChina, not applying those same constraints in China. So it is our economic dependence on China
because
that
they
makes
can
us
charge
scared.
them
If that were a
more
Russian
money
spy
than
balloon,
the
we'd have shot it
Americans.
down in
So
an
that's
instant.
why they're
if that
doing
were a
it.
Russian spy
It's
base
called
in Cuba, we'd be
business.
turning the we'd be actually going hard on them instead of turning the other way as we are with China.
Going
so it comes
hard.
back down to that economic dependence. We
No
cannot
one's hard
depend
for
on them
you,
for our pharmaceuticals, our semiconductors,
This
and
from
people
Brennan in the
have
chat.
been lied to for a long
Isolationism
time.
is a modern
Our
global
own
society.
military, the
Could start an
F-35
economic
jets that we
crisis
make
like
in
no
this
other.
country
Exactly.
depend on China, and it's going
Thank
to take
you.
an outsider to fix that
Wanna see
broken
the-
establishment.
Thank you,
Great
Mr.
Depression on
Ramaswamy. Ambassador
steroids.
Haley, would you like
Yeah,
to respond?
lift up all the drawbridges and start firing rockets at
I mean, when
Mexico.
it comes
That's
to
a
China
great
and
idea.
Taiwan, the one way that we keep China from going into Taiwan is, one, make sure that we win in Ukraine, that we protect our friends,
Win?
but also let China know that they'll be held to pay if they go into
Well,
Taiwan.
basically just keep
They
giving the
need to
Ukrainians
know
guns so that the
that
Ukraine
there is
wins.
going to be a force that's going to go against them. And they need
We're
to know
not
it's
on
not just going to
Ukraine's
be
side. Like-
the United States. That is why we need to build our partnerships with India, with South Korea, with Japan, with the Philippines, with Australia. We need to start pulling that alliance together. And the first way we do that is we need to make sure that on day one we look at the fact, if China pulled the rug out from under us tomorrow, would we be ready? Think about what happened during COVID. Everybody told you to wear a mask. They were made in China. Everybody told you to take a COVID test. They were made
My
in China.
mom made my mask, dumb
Everybody
bitch.
went and, I mean, everything that happened. If you
Since
go to the
Vivek won't
drugstore,
say it,
all
and you
those
said
medicines
anti-trans
are
shit,
made
so now
in
I'm gonna call
China.
you a bitch
We have to
and a
make
dumb
sure
bitch
that
at
we
that.
are not relying on
Dumb
China for
bitch.
anything related to our national security, which means
Actually, they can
let's
all
start
four be dumb
focusing
bitches
on doing
today.
deals with our
Thank
friends.
No,
Thank
Chris
you,
Christie has
Ambassador.
won
Governor
some
Christie,
points.
He
I'd
didn't,
love
no,
for you to
he
weigh
didn't
in
say
on
anything
that.
either when they were
Do you
fucking doing
think
their little
arming
hate
every
speech.
Well, that-
tirade.
that, yeah.
So he's a dumb bitch too.
is a
Come on, dumb
plausible
bitch,
policy?
fat dumb bitch.
You know, I don't think we have constitutional authority over Taiwan to give them a Second Amendment. I think they can only do that for themselves. But look,
Vivek
I
doesn't
want to
care
be
about
really
that.
clear. Once again, I want to play the
Just
role of
gonna fly
actually answering your
AC-130s
question,
over with this
which
drop
is if
parachuted
China
air
went after
Ow!
Taiwan, you're absolutely right.
Why
I
are there
would, as
guns
president,
raining from the
have us
sky?
go
They're
militarily
13
and defend
pounds
them.
each. Ow!
Secondly,
My
I'm not
car.
afraid, based upon those economic relationships, to do that, because these economic relationships mean nothing. Nothing. If what's going to happen is that China is going to come and act in that region of the world however they see fit. It's not right. And I'll say this about what I heard from Nikki earlier. She said that Donald Trump was good on trade.
Not that
He
trade worker.
wasn't. And the proof that he wasn't good on trade with China is that all he did was impose tariffs, which raised the prices for every American. You want to know what has contributed to inflation in this country?
Yep.
Yes, it's more government spending. Yes, it's the fact that we're printing too much money. Absolutely. But it is also the increase in prices that were driven by
Thank
Donald
you.
Trump's tariffs. And one last thing. You can't say he was good on trade because he didn't change one Chinese policy in the process. He failed on it.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Governor
Yeah.
DeSantis, switching subjects here. For 15 years,
Oh, good.
How long
Republicans
is
have
this
been
fucking
burned by
debate?
politicians'
should be almost
promises
done.
to repeal Obamacare.
They got 18 minutes.
Trump repeatedly promised to replace it with, quote, something terrific.
A person at
but
work
failed
made
to
him ask. Yeah,
propose
not everybody
anything.
bought him from China.
You're now promising something better.
Going to build a wall in the
Florida
South China
has
Sea,
more
and China's going to pay
people
for it.
than almost any other state. Why should Americans trust you more than any other Republicans who've disappointed
Look at that
them on
face.
this issue?
Well, I think we have millions of Americans who do not have access to affordable health care. And it's not just getting some type of card and Medicaid, because a lot of times they don't even get access to doctors. Do you actually get access to care? The other thing is we have millions and millions of people who don't have access to good doctors and good hospitals. Florida did not expand Obamacare. I think the states that did that, I think, are struggling financially.
Now every insurance company
yes, we declined to do that, and I don't think that that was the right policy to do. But we are going to go after the cost. You're paying too much for everything. We've actually addressed this in Florida in some ways, but you need price transparency. You need to hold the pharmaceuticals accountable. You need to hold big insurance and big government accountable, and we're going to get that done. I think it's very, very important economically.
Big government is responsible
very, very
for
important
this?
for the country that
Big
we get that
government's
done.
responsible for high.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to, this is a very personal issue to our family. I wanted to take actually a minute to recognize my wife who's here today. Badass surgeon. She did a bunch of cases with cancer survivors earlier today, flew here to be tonight. We'll be back at 7 a.m. in Columbus, Ohio tomorrow, taking care of those patients in the OR. And on the front lines of people who have actually not swallowed for years. And here's something that's awful that's happening in our healthcare system. They'll pay for anything like feeding tubes, doctors to be pill pushers. But for the procedures that can actually make these patients better, we have a broken healthcare system that doesn't pay for it. My wife, Apoorva, in many cases, does not get paid for those procedures. She does them anyway because it's the right thing to do. But that does not work system-wide. So here's the answer. We don't have a healthcare system in this country. We have a sick care system. We need to start having diverse insurance options.
Well, duh, that's what the Democrats said fucking 45 years ago. Fucking
preventative medicine, diet, exercise, lifestyle, and otherwise. And here's how we deliver that. End the antitrust exemptions for health insurance companies. That's where the competitive marketplace begins. That's crony capitalism, and that's the answer.
Okay, through Operation Warp Speed,
someone's
the Trump
poison the swamp hole.
developed the COVID vaccine
There's
in
a
record
snake
time.
in my cabinet.
The program protected the drug companies from virtually all lawsuits over vaccine injuries. The government has a program to compensate for such harm, but critics say it is a black hole of bureaucracy. 12,000 claims filed, 10% decided, only 8 payouts so far, in a forum with no right to counsel, no hearings, no appeals. Mr. Trump says he's very proud of Warp Speed. Should he be?
Well, this question specifically on liability goes back to actually Reagan. And Reagan is a president who I admire. Many of us do. I think that reviving that spirit is in many ways going to be good for this country in so many ways. But one of the areas where he erred was this special form of lobbying to say that one kind of manufacturer, a vaccine manufacturer, cannot be sued for their product liability. So I have pledged, it is part of my legislative agenda, we will repeal that, just like we will repeal every other form of crony capitalism. People who have been harmed by those vaccines deserve accountability. They cannot be forgotten Americans. And I think one of the top lessons we learned from that COVID pandemic is that free speech in this country is most important in those alleged times of emergency. If we had been allowed to openly debate the merits of those vaccines, they would have been never mandated in the way that they were. And in general, I don't think that we should want capitalism and democracy to share the same bed anymore. It's time for a clean divorce. Let companies be companies, but I don't like the crony capitalism. This dates back a long time in both parties.
I got my COVID booster today, actually.
And I personally believe that if you have been working in the government, you should not lobby that government for 10 years. If you have been a government elected official doing deals with companies, be they Boeing or be they pharmaceutical companies, you should not join the board of that company for 10 years after. The former chairman of the FDA, the leader commissioner of the FDA, ended up on the board of Pfizer. Nikki Haley did deals with Boeing, ends up on the board of Boeing. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. We need some basic principles that end the corruption in government. That's how we got the health insurance exemptions. That's how we got the pharmaceutical product liability exemptions. We end the corruption.
We need...
Okay, cool.
We need
no more money in politics. You cool with that,
Vivek? Did during COVID-19. That includes the mRNA shots. They put it out. It was experimental. People wanted it. Then the government started trying to mandate it, to say you don't have a right to put food on your table if you don't take an mRNA shot that was under emergency use. They tried to take nurses away. Now, in Florida, we block that. We provided protections for everybody so that they wouldn't lose their
Your
job.
numbers were
you also
through
have
the
the
fucking
FDA
roof.
approving an mRNA shot for 6-month-old babies. There was no data to support that.
COVID,
They're doing it because Big Pharma will make money. So I'm going to go in there, CDC,
So I had the
NIH,
bars and
FDA.
shit open.
We're going to clean house. There's going to be a reckoning because right now nobody's been held accountable for any of the damage. And they're going to try to do
we
it
haven't
again.
held the
But I'm
Republicans
president. This will
accountable for all
never
the
happen
damage
to
that
our
they've
country
done.
ever again.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. And we will be right back in just a few moments for our closing statements from our 4 candidates at the Republican primary debate.
Can't we just do the closing statements and be fucking done? Good Lord.
We're all sick of listening.
I kind of am, yeah.
They're out of.
What a night we've already had, and we're just getting started.
Now, Chris Cuomo, you still canceled, bro.
You're
not sneaking your ass back onto these airwaves. Get your ass out of here, Chrissy. Say hi, baby. Say hi to internet.
Hello.
Your little overexposed face. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about the debate today? Huh? What you think, Kira?
These people use
Chris Christie rocks. Chris Christie rocks.
No, we don't like Chris Christie because Chris Christie is a coward. Brave men stand up and do the right thing even if they get in trouble.
It's true.
And he did not do the courageous and the right thing. He did the politically expedient thing and he let the other people fight. And that's a pussy move. We don't act like that.
Stand up for people.
We have integrity in this house, don't we, baby?
We have integrity.
Us famines are hard to get rid of because we're so honest. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? Little Kira famine. Baby fam.
Baby fams.
Baby fam.
I want my baby back, baby back fams.
Now, as you guys all know, this show is filled with atheists, so she will be dinner for Christmas. We're just fattening her up so that us atheists can eat her for the winter solstice.
Good.
Yummy.
Attention! Good harvest for next season.
The most delicious of babes.
Oh, so going back to our original conversation a few commercial breaks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, which
Latin America.
So I forget the Latin American nation, decided to go arrest anyone they suspected of being involved in a gang or cartel. And they built a new Supermax prison and threw tens of thousands of suspected gang members in prison. And their crime rate dropped almost completely overnight. But there's no judicial process.
It was in Mexico.
Rounded them all up.
It was in Mexico in August. And it was 100. It said 167 cartel members were arrested at once.
Let's see.
That's different than tens of thousands. So
yeah, that's not the right one.
Well.
Unless I'm just... Yeah, 1,000... Yeah, here it is.
What you got there?
El Salvador. Thousands of suspected gang members moved to new mega prison. They went and got all of them.
Innocent foreigners caught in El Salvador's mass arrest. Yeah, that's the problem with mass arrests.
Jailed nearly 70,000 gang members.
See? That's the shit I'm talking about. Like that, they went.
But did you not see that all the innocent people that are caught? You can't just say, "Okay, I know how I'll save the whales. I'll remove all the water from the ocean." What about the rest of the fish? It'll be a lot easier to find the whales with this water a lot lower. What the fuck? Oh my God. Jose Antonio Potes and his childhood friend Manuel Castrillon traveled to El Salvador hoping to find safe, prosperous, tech-friendly paradise that they had heard about in Colombian media. President Nayib Bukele's draconian crackdown on gangs and ambitious plans to convert the country into a Bitcoin-powered regional powerhouse have made him into the most popular leader in Latin America, and El Salvador a destination for surfers and tech bros alike. So all the tech bros went down there, and then there was a gang sweep, and now there's tons of people not in the gang caught up in the gang sweep.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So like, that's the kind of thing I'm seeing.
They jailed
like, 2%.
They jailed 2% of their population.
They did.
That's huge.
That's a lot of motherfuckers.
But the gangs
they dropped violent crime rate by 90%. You said?
Yeah, because everybody ran away. There's no crime because there's no citizens. We're out of here.
They're all in jail.
Governor
forever.
Christie, we're going to start with you. Which former president would you draw inspiration from for your own presidency, and why?
I would draw inspiration from Ronald Reagan.
Fuck you. I hate you more now.
I've spent a lot of time writing a book about President Reagan that's going to be called What Would Reagan Do? That book's going to come out early in 2024. And what I learned more than anything else was that Ronald Reagan was a slave to the truth. Ronald Reagan stood up for the truth, whether it was popular or unpopular at the moment. In 1964, he stood up against the John Birch Society when it was very unpopular to the party to do it, but he would not put up with our party standing for lies and deceit, even if it gave him political progress. That's the kind of president that I will be, and I would draw that inspiration from the 40th president of the United States, Ronald Reagan.
Ambassador Haley.
Well, I have to say, too, I think George Washington, when you look at the responsibilities he had of how do you go and take on this great American experiment and make sure that the people are protected. And they always knew that government was intended to secure the rights and freedoms of the people. It was never meant to be all things to all people. And then you look at Abraham Lincoln, and you look at the challenges, and you look at the division that happened in our country, and the ability to lead in spite of the loud noises and say, what will bring out the best in people to get us to go forward is always something that's important. And I think we need that now more than ever.
Not in the north. That's what I'll do.
Governor DeSantis.
Reagan, Washington, Lincoln, excellent. One of the guys I'll take inspiration from is Calvin Coolidge. Now, people don't talk about him a lot. He's one of the few presidents that got almost everything right. He understood the proper role of the federal government under the Constitution. We need to restore the U.S. Constitution as the centerpiece of our national life. And that requires a president who understands the original understanding of the Constitution, who has a good sense of the Bill of Rights, and who knows how we've gone off track with this massive fourth branch of government, this administrative state, which is imposing its will on us and is being weaponized against us. So Silent Cal knew the proper role of the federal government. The country was in great shape when he was president of the United States, and we can learn an awful lot from Calvin Coolidge.
As much as you talk, you idolize Calvin Coolidge. Shut the fuck up.
Sure, well, I will say Ron picked a president who was born on July 4th. I'll pick one who died on July 4th. It's Thomas Jefferson. He was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. And you all are sitting on a swivel chair today. He invented the swivel chair while he was at it, while writing that Declaration of Independence.
Calvin Coolidge was the president that led the Roaring Twenties
we're the pioneers, we're the explorers, the guy who sent him out on the Lewis and Clark expeditions. And I think a lot about what would Thomas Jefferson say to today's Republican Party. And I think one thing he'd remind us of, we don't talk about much tonight, but I think it is one of the interesting ideological discussions we're having in our party is freedom of speech.
Why is
you get to express your mind freely no matter how heinous the opinion. Thomas Jefferson understood that. He's an inspiration for me.
His nickname was Swivels.
And believe it or not,
Old Swivy.
it's time for closing statements.
That wasn't the closing statement.
Thank you. I want you all to kind of picture in your minds Election Day. You'll all be heading to the polls to vote. And that's something that Donald Trump will not be able to do because he will be convicted of felonies before then, and his right to vote will be taken away. You know, look, here's the bottom line. You can boo about it all you like and continue to deny reality. But if we deny reality as a party, we're going to have 4 more years of Joe Biden. When my colleagues here raised their hands and said they would support him even if he was a convicted felon, the bigger problem with it is they were confirming the lies he's told to the American people. If you're too timid to take on Trump, believe me, others will see that timidity. Xi, Putin and the Ayatollah, the border crossers on the southern border, and the criminals in our streets. They'll sense that timidity and they'll take advantage of that failure of leadership.
I don't think that's a word.
We need to get back to an old American idea that every person is responsible for their own conduct, even a president. I'll be the kind of president who has the humility that knows that you work for the people, It's not the other way around. I will earn your trust. I want to earn your vote.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Mr. Ramaswamy?
Timidity.
I'll use this to just address a topic we didn't talk about tonight, but I think is one of the most important topics that needs to be discussed. That is this climate change agenda that is shackling this country like a set of handcuffs. I said it at the first debate, and I stand by it.
This guy's got a dick for a nose.
The climate change agenda is a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate. That's what we have to see. 98% reduction in the climate disaster-related deaths in the last
warming
century.
Oceans,
8 times as many people are going to die of cold temperatures this year than warm ones. Against that backdrop, there's an issue coming up in Iowa. It's core to Iowa farmers. I met Kim Junker, Kathy Stockdale, and other farmers who are about to have a carbon capture pipeline built across their land using eminent domain to do it. That's unconstitutional and it's wrong. And if you thought COVID was bad, what's coming with this climate agenda is far worse. We should not be bending the knee to this new religion. That is what it is.
Bending the knee.
It is a substitute for a modern religion. We are flogging ourselves and losing our modern way of life, bowing to this new god of climate, and that will end on my watch. It's the most critical issue that's coming up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our country is in chaos. We see it on the southern border.
No, it's not.
We see it on our streets in our cities. We see it on college campuses. We feel it with our economy, with inflation and with debt. And we feel it around the world with wars in Europe and within the Middle East. We have to stop the chaos, but you can't defeat Democrat chaos with Republican chaos. And that's what Donald Trump gives us. My approach is different. No drama, no vendettas, no whining. I envision an America where we're protected from illegal immigration and Chinese infiltration. I envision an America where we unleash our economy and we reject socialism. But more importantly, I envision an America where we rediscover our national purpose and our pride.
Thank you.
I crush Joe Biden in the polls. And if you give me this chance, we will crush him in November and take our country back.
Governor.
Go to NikkiHaley.com.
Thank you, Ambassador Haley.
Bad news, lady. They're not going to vote for you. They are giving you lip service. They are not voting for a woman.
Jeopardy of being the first generation of Americans to leave to our kids and grandkids in America less prosperous and less free than the one we inherited. I refuse to sit idly by and let that happen. But we got to have people that are going to be willing to fight the people that are doing this to us. You can't be these establishment Republicans that just cave at the first sign of opposition. I'll fight for you. We also need to win again as a party. Yes, win the election, which we've struggled to do, but also win on these big issues. And nobody has defeated these people more than what I have done in the state of Florida on issue after issue. We have won, and we have won big, and that's what we'll do for you. We also need leadership.
No, Gavin Newsom
leadership is not about doing what's easy. It's about being willing to set out that vision, knowing they're going to shoot arrows at you. They're going to come at you. I will fight the good fight. I will keep the faith, and I will finish the race. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, all of you.
Oh, God, we're done. Thank God.
Are we free now?
So if there was any doubt in anyone's head about why most of everybody that I hang out with and everybody on this network are not Republicans. It's fairly easy. Jeez, go away. Jesus.
Turn off Fox News.
Come down, Selecta. Rewind. Questions in the chat. Throw them in the chat if you got them. We're gonna hang out for a couple more minutes, and then we're gonna get on out of here. Play some video games, probably. You got Battlefield. You got Battlefield downloaded.
I'm pretty sure I do, but I also have. I've been wanting to try Firefight. That just dropped in Infinite.
Yeah. That's true. Oh, that means I probably got an update too. Did we win? Yes, Doorknob Head. We survived, and that is the
Are we still technically alive?
Animatronic Lives Matter. Oh, did you hear about the fucking guy who like used to work at Disney and was like stealing parts of like the old like 50s and 60s animatronic and like sell them? There was a thing on Dreading on YouTube. I'll grab the link for you real quick. It was like, of course I was like, I don't fucking care about this. An hour and a half into it, I'm like, so then he would sell them online. Yeah, like I was so fucking. I guess they call it like urban exploring, where you pretty much sneak into buildings and just go places you're not supposed to if doors aren't locked. And then they record it and post it on Reddit. So they trespass.
Well, as long as they don't have their faces in it, then.
Well, who's fucking posting it, motherfucker? Someone's paying for the IP address. You can bounce it around with NordVPN all you like, but it's gonna come back to somebody.
Well, that's what proxy servers are for. Like you, if you're good enough, you can you can be not tracked, but it's.
Him got tracked.
Seems like a big pain in the ass.
Got tracked. Yeah, if at that point, I'm not gonna fucking shell people if I gotta go through all these hoops. It's too much work.
Yeah.
It's funny. I heard another thing today. It was either North or South Carolina. There is apparently a forest that's known as like the Yogi Bear animatronic statue graveyard.
Okay.
And it's just full of like all the old statues and shit. It sounds
dead
creepy as fuck.
That's funny. Oh, what was I looking up? Oh yeah, Reading, Disney. Hi, Stinky Stink. There it is. Copy link. You guys want the link out there? I'll give you guys the link too. It's a really good episode. I like dreading shit because I'm
North
up
Carolina, the Yogi Bear graveyard.
I'm up in the middle of the night all the time, so I need like podcasty shit.
Graveyard.
You could watch Firefly, Mikey.
No, I don't. I don't want to because you've made it such a thing that I don't want to do it to spite you now. There's that episode.
Aw, Mikey.
Well, you laid it on too thick, and now I'm doing it out of. Now I don't want you to be happy.
That's fine. I don't want you to watch it. Yeah. You don't deserve it.
You don't deserve it then. That's true. You just don't deserve it.
You know what? There's going to come a day where I'm going to come in here all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I'm going to tell you guys, hey, guys, guess what? I watched it. And then what you guys should do is say, who cares?
Yep.
That's how you get me back, is then when I do finally watch, you just don't care anymore. And I've watched it for nothing. That's sweet revenge. Let's see.
Actually, watch Serenity first, and then watch Firefly.
I've already checked out. I don't see too many. I don't see too many things in the chat. I don't think we're gonna be able to raid out. I gotta find my old cell phone. Fucking 2AF my ass. It didn't transfer over when I got my new phone and signed in. It still wants that phone. I'm like, oh my god, it's device specific. Jesus.
The only person I see on right now is HR.
I can't raid anyway. Oh, I guess no, I can't raid because I can't type in the chat. Ooh, what if I just go to the because I'm not even logged in on anything on Twitch right now. Not even logged in.
Sorry, no rating.
No raids tonight. But we will have the Bin podcast tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, 12 o'clock if you're on the West Coast. So stop in for that.
That's 4 o'clock my time, by the way.
Let me do a little this guy.
4
o'clock. As a little sneak peek, this poster you see down Schmear is but a few of the things that are up and coming on the network. If you would like to contribute to some of the financial shit for all of what that's going to entail, because Speaking from the Center is going away. It's going to be on Box Politics. The Bin's fine. Me and Brenna have a show coming called Filthy Americans. Attorney Anna has a show called Analytics. Team Nate is going to be whenever me, Tim, Alpha, and Mark play games. We'll be doing that on that channel. Ready Up is a gaming, all things gaming show, talking about gaming news. So we got a lot of work to do. So 2024 is going to be pretty lit. We only have a few more shows left in this year. So yeah.
Yeah, I assume we're gonna take some time off for the holidays or something like that.
Yeah, we're probably it's gonna get real scant around here. There's not gonna be a lot of content going up, but other production.
Are you still trying to do your Christmas Day stream, Mikey?
Probably. I have little one now, but she don't know it's Christmas. You know what I mean? She's 9 months. She don't care.
You have a few years where you can ride that train.
Yeah, she has no idea which fucking holiday it is. I come in there with fucking a sombrero, and I'm like, aha, Mexican Independence Day. And she's like, yay, on December 8th. You're like, yep, that's the day.
Yep, Christmas.
Because she don't know. chat. Oh, what else was I gonna say? Oh, we might be hiring. I might need to reach out for production help. So if you have skills or if you have the time to learn, you should reach out to me, so we can chat. Because if everything goes according to plans, we might have like 8 or 9 shows per week, which is fine. But that leaves a lot of back end work that me as one person is not going to have enough time to get to. Or if you have a show idea, or if there's something you think you want us to cover, you can always hit us up on email, thebinpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you just want to say hello, see what we're up to.
Millennial moments in history.
Oh, yeah. Your show, Mark's show. Millennial moments in history, or I
need another M.
History. I like history according to millennials. Because you're setting it right. Because I feel like the previous generations left mad shit out.
That's fair.
Shit that is kind of important to the geopolitics of right now. That they just don't like Iran-Contra. How many people in the chat know about Iran-Contra? Probably not a ton. That's not your fault.
Who is Ollie North?
Again,
that's not Ollie North is. Holy fuck, did I ever take a lot of flacco in high school?
Yeah.
Damn.
But all that stuff from what's the first year of the millennial? 82?
Let's see here.
I think it's 82. So from like 82 to 2000 or whatever the cutoff is, it'll be mostly
81 to 96.
So that'll be the general time chunk of history that you probably don't know a ton about the world events about, because if you're anywhere near my age, you were either in high school, in college, or in grade school. So no one really bothered to tell you this.
It didn't exist.
Well, and it didn't happen yet.
In the 90s, so like there's a good chunk of the millennial time frame. Like I know because I have a history degree, but like it's. So we're gonna make. I don't know. It's gonna be a fun show. Short, to the point, historical information. Like that's what we're gonna.
Did you learn about Desert Storm in school? I didn't, because it wasn't in the history book yet.
No, I learned about it on my own time.
I learned about it on TV.
That's what. But see, when we were little, or even if we were like 10 when it was going down, parents weren't letting you watch that shit.
Nope.
They were turn that shit off, and you were put some fucking Daffy Duck on that fucking TV. Stop watching these people shoot each other. Because that was the times. But we're all old now, and it's important that we know what happened 30 years ago. Oh, also, Mark, we got to look into Ethiopia, Somalia, and Eritrea. Eritrea. There you go. Oh, so you're already hip.
Oh, I know the whole region's fucked to shit. I haven't been paying attention to it, but like it's bad.
Ethiopia has a new prime minister who's like, you know what?
Let's invade.
You know what? I think we'll have that. I think those things from the 80s, I think we're gonna call those back into play now.
Have you heard what's happening in Venezuela?
Mm-mm.
They voted to annex half of the country next to them. So they're likely going to declare war and just take that shit. I forget the name of the country. It's the only English-speaking British colony, former British colony. They're saying half of their territory, the resource-rich part, is actually a part of Venezuela. They held a mock referendum, and everyone agreed, yep, we should have that.
2 days after the referendum on Essequibo, a territory disputed between Venezuela and Guyana, the government of Nicolas Maduro is moving forward to try to enforce what was approved Sunday in a vote that registered almost no participation in the streets, but which Chavismo hailed as a victory with 10.4 million voters, reawakening a crisis of credibility in the nation's electoral authorities. In television appearance Tuesday, Maduro presented a new official map of Venezuela with Essequibo incorporated without the disputed delimitation during a Council of State in which he announced a series of measures and upcoming legislation to cement Caracas' possession of the territory and its resources. Everybody just taking shit now.
The third war in the last year and a half, like there's more than that. But like the next major war is about to spark off. And it's extra dangerous because Iran and Russia support Venezuela, but China and the United States support the contested region. So
awesome.
Guyana. So like we will probably be fighting with China against Venezuela. It's a fucked up world we live in.
So patreon.com/The Bin Podcast. Now, y'all might be saying, oh, this is just a cheap money grab using the end of the world as a carrot to attract people to give us money.
Damn straight.
First of all, mind your business. Second of all, we're going to be using a lot of that money to buy a decommissioned rocket silo so that we can just build our underground utopia, our bunker utopia, equipped with bowling alleys, putt-putt golf, mini carts,
video game, arcade, movie theater, hydroponic lab, swimming pool, gym.
We could flood the whole basement and just have a pool the size of a football field.
Hell yes.
Yeah. So we're working on that part of it.
Top tier subscribers will be able to get a place in the bunker. We haven't worked out that scale yet for Patreon. It will be expensive.
I think what it'll be is just like the higher tier you are, the lower you'll get into the silo. New people are up on the top.
I have a problem with that because if you see that shit coming, you can just suddenly buy the top tier. Right? What about your people that have been supporting you for the last 3 years?
Well, you guys are already
they get discounts.
Right?
It'll be the accumulation of donations over the time period before the collapse.
Correct.
So a lot of you will
gotcha.
have a lot
Sorry,
of you. A lot
I
of you
can't give you a real thumbs up. I can't make a fist.
a lot of you longtime supporters. Don't worry, your donations are being counted. It will go towards your total, and you will be able to. Good question, Ollie. You will be able to secure a nice spot in the silo at the end of the
TNA discount code for 20% off your Prime tier subscription to the bin.
But I'm excited for 2024. I'm excited for what. Oh, I hit control on. Okay, I didn't do anything. I'm excited for what we got going on. I'm glad that we're taking a new direction because just covering exactly what comes out every week was damaging all of our mental health.
Kinda.
The world is trash.
It's very sad to, like, I don't know, watch a bunch of black single fathers get shot and killed by cops week after week after week.
Or Ukrainian buildings just blown up by cruise missiles because Russia said fuck it.
Or when we have to report stuff on women and it's crimes against women and we have to do it week after week after week.
School shootings week after week.
Little kids and like it's
too fucking much.
It's like trust us when we say our hearts are with everybody that they need to be with. But for our own sanity, we can't be covering that shit anymore. So we'd like to enjoy our time on the air, enjoy our time with our people, and not just be the little black rain cloud that makes everybody go back to doom scrolling.
Yeah.
We're gonna be the anti-doom scroll.
Mega doom scroll.
Omega doom scroll.
Make it even worse.
Yeah. And trust me, because we're all dialed in, we know of a lot worse. We just don't tell y'all. We tell each other, we're like, holy shit, that's not going on the show. Holy shit, that's not going on the show.
Well, like
that has happened a few times.
Yeah.
I am actually happy that we're not really covering the whole Israel-Palestine thing and Hamas. It's just everyone's fucked, everyone's screwed, and everyone's terrible. And like, there's no. You can't have a debate on it. Like it just doesn't work anymore. It's
and some people may not have liked that call. Sorry, but I think it was.
Lots of other shows are talking about it.
Go watch them. They deserve your support. Do it up.
And here's the thing. I watched those other people's presentation of it, and I have criticism of it, but I don't know of a way that anyone can properly detail that situation without it being a 15-hour stream with 17 guests. And if you're going to do it, you should do it right. And everyone's just doing it. So that's fine. If Team Nate, if the bin's gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. I actually have an expert that I wanted to get on to talk about othering. She's been a guest on the show before. Her name is Barbara Coloroso. You can look up I'll grab the episode for you. It was very early, and Aisla actually introduced me to her. Barbara Coloroso. There we go. And she's written several books about. She did a TED Talk.
Oh, that's cool.
There you go.
She did a TED Talk, and she was on The Bin. I think it was The Bin. It's called No One Likes Ability. It got 25 fucking views. You fucking heathens. I shouldn't even share you the fucking link. You little dirt bags. I can't type in the chat. Motherfucker. Hold on.
You hit control. You broke it.
No, I'm not. My Streamlabs isn't signed in. Why am I in shorts? I don't want to be in shorts.
What?
Put your pants on. Damn, man.
There we go. All right, so I'm going to try and book her again because a lot of what we talked about on that show really reverberates for the whole Israel-Palestine thing. I almost just rebroadcast this show as if it were new, but then I was like, why don't I just call her? So I'm going to try and get a hold of her, see if I can get her back on. And if we talk about the Israel-Palestine thing, it will be with her involved so that you guys can learn how you're fucking othering way more than you're using the empathy part of your brain and the logical part of your brain. You're just using your caveman side, and you shouldn't do that because people's lives are on the line.
Yep.
And that's important. All right, little baby, you're supposed to be asleep already.
Never.
Go to sleep.
All right, I'm putting the baby to bed. Any last words, gentlemen?
All the
keep your stick on the
Republicans
ice.
All the Republicans suck. Keep your stick on the ice. And Tim, you can't have any whiskey unless you have enough for the whole class.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
Tim's gone. He's out in Ireland getting fucking wasted right now.
Goddamn Irish.
Well, he's probably already passed out by now, but he's been getting wasted pretty much every night by the looks of the pictures he's been posting, yeah.
He's been getting wasted and going to sleep at 7 o'clock every day. Fucking old man.
Let's have a drink. I'm tired.
He pours the drink and falls asleep holding it. Just I told him not to pour that at 6:59. All right, we're out of here. We love you guys. See you later. Okay, I'm coming, baby. I'm coming. Peace.
Nighty night.
Hit him with the fucking space lasers.
Space laser.
Damn, Tim is